Hello and welcome to Soda Speak. Glad to be back.
Good to be
How's
back.
everyone doing? Who's with us today?
Hi, it's Evan Mead.
Hi, it's Lyle Groniger. That's me. This is the fun part. We see who goes first, Cody or Josh. They have to rock paper scissors.
I
For
guess
it.
in the upper left corner, this is me, Josh Weinberg.
There he is.
And Cody is back.
You're
Cody's
damn right
back.
he is.
Yes, who's back?
Back again.
Back again.
He's got it going on. So speaking, I'm glad you're with us, Cody, because like this episode stemmed from a very early pop talk that you
Hold
did,
up.
where
Okay, so just a quick question. Why are you glad that Cody's with us and not glad that Josh is with us? Or that
I
I
was getting
It's
to
been
that.
a bit. It's been a
Okay,
bit.
yeah.
I was getting to that because this idea stemmed from one of your early episodes where you and your friend Troy had almost like this duel of who can pick the most obscure movie and recommend it to the other person. So I couldn't think of too many obscure projects, but I could think of like things I wanted to recommend to you guys in the audience. So that's where this idea stemmed from. And that's why the name of this episode is I Recommend.
Now,
It's an open con.
yeah, so I was really intrigued by that episode of Pop Talk as well. Now, just for the record, this is some stuff that, like, doesn't have to be necessarily critically acclaimed. It's like, have you heard of it? Like, or anything like that.
So
Yeah,
we're
I
sticking
just
to
picked a lot
films,
of
is what you guys are saying.
Films. Can we
I made a
broaden
point to
this
try
is-
and not go down that road
Can
again.
we broaden it a little bit? Like, if there's anything.
I thought
Yeah,
that
I
was the whole
mean-
point.
Yeah,
You can recommend other stuff for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Doesn't necessarily have to be films. I picked up a couple of films and things like that. Who'd like to start?
Okay. Well,
I did not watch that Pop
You
Talk
got-
episode,
you-
so this will be very interesting in probably
You guys
several
are
ways.
very, very full of beans today.
So-
I love it.
in terms of, so I basically combed through Letterboxd, and since all of y'all are
Of course
on,
you did.
are all of y'all are on that app.
Ollie.
There's a difference between being on the website and just using it and lurking.
Yeah, like I could, yeah, Josh. The only movie that you've reviewed on there is Robots, which
Wait, no. Did I actually write a review or did I just like Lyle's like I
no,
usually do?
you liked a review. You just listed Robots as a movie you've seen, and I think you gave it like 5 stars or something.
Holy
I'm
crap!
gonna go- I'm gonna go-
That doesn't sound like me at all.
I'm gonna confirm this right now. Let me just see.
I like that movie. I'd recommend it. But episode over.
Robots.
That
Never
was
seen
fun
it.
watching it though. It's
Wait,
it's
Cody.
better than expected.
Cody, you've never seen Robots?
Never seen it.
Okay, so in the year, Cody, get this. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. Cody, Josh, you have not listed Robots at all. But I'm just trying to find your profile here.
Where are we going?
Apparently, this is why the fact checking is done before you push the big red button.
Hey, no,
This
there
is
are
a
podcasts
Robots
that
podcast.
there are podcasts that fact check live. I personally
That's
don't.
fine. That's fine. Whatever. I'll trim it.
Just
Okay,
wild.
like
It's like
some
you rated this movie 5 stars. Like, wait, I did?
Yeah.
I've used this site. What is this?
Okay, so you're following.
Just you three.
Yeah,
That's
you're
how
following
basic
just-
I am.
Yeah. Okay, so you. Okay, maybe my thing is really outdated, but it doesn't really say that you've seen anything. Like, Robots was on here, but I guess you took it
Maybe
down.
it just doesn't have access to my information.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, but anyways, so so because Cody is not.
Evan, pick something.
Well, I'm going to, because Cody hasn't seen Robots.
Okay.
I'll pitch it to him. So,
Okay.
basically, in the year 2005, the director of Ice Age, Chris Wedge, released the second animated feature film from Blue Sky Studios, and it's called Robots. Imagine the William Joyce style animation. That's the guy who did George String's Roly Poly Oly. Imagine that.
Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah,
The Robinsons.
yeah. It's basically there's an inventor played by Ewan McGregor who goes to the big city to meet a robot idol named Bigweld, voiced by Mel Brooks. By the way, this voice cast is stacked. Like you've got
It's a pretty mid 2000s animated cast.
you've got Ewan McGregor as the main, Greg Kinnear as one of the villains. You have Halle Berry as a little
love interest.
as a love interest who comes in later. You have Amanda Bynes back before she went crazy. You have
Yeah, one of her last roles actually.
Yeah.
No, but okay, this is on the side. The conservatorship stuff is done as far
That's
as
true,
I've heard
yeah.
with her as well.
right.
It is
Actually,
done,
that makes
yeah.
that choice even more topical now.
Oh yeah.
I'm hoping that much like people come to appreciate Britney Spears, post conservatorship stuff, Amanda
Yeah.
Bynes can get a reappraisal as well.
Yeah. Well, anyways, and then there's also who did I miss? Mel Brooks plays
That guy that hosts that game show where people spin a wheel and win a bunch of money.
Bob Barker.
The guy
No,
that
Drew
succeeded
Carey.
him.
Oh,
Drew Carey.
See, I
Drew-
figure if
Drew
I make
Carey,
things
right,
less
right.
obvious, people will think.
Who else? He also had a show too, the
Yeah.
Drew Carey show.
Yes.
I also and
I
let's
recommend
not-
that.
Oh, and the god of voice acting and the god of improv among men, the late
Here we go.
Robin Williams is there because he's credited last. Okay, in terms of his voice acting roles, it's not as iconic as something like the Genie or Batty from Fern Gully, but he's got some funny lines. Although it does feel like it's not the best Robin Williams voice acting job ever, but he's still pretty funny.
It's a better
I liked
performance than RV.
Oh,
Remember
yes.
that?
RV
That was
is
Anything's better.
okay. RV
It's
is
okay, but like I'd take Robin Williams as a robot than Robin Williams as a dad that owns an RV.
Robin Williams is a deadbeat dad. That I've seen RV. RV that was such a come and go like family.
The mid late
comedy.
2000s was actually interesting for his filmography. You had robots, you had RV, but in the middle you had Man of the Year, which
I still
only
need to
became
see that.
slightly more topical. Oh, I think that's really interesting. It starts off as a comedy of sorts about I believe it's an average late night TV show host that decides to run for president on a whim, and then it becomes just really dark.
So
I remember seeing that when I was younger, and it kind of messed with me a bit.
um
Same with 1 Hour Photo.
so,
I watched that when I was way
Oh.
too young too.
so
1 hour photo.
I guess we've just I guess we're officially on a Robin Williams tangent.
So don't watch that movie in a dark.
Robin
room,
Williams
especially.
recommendation round.
Well,
We
I
already
mean,
talked
the
about.
obvious one is Aladdin, but I assume most of us have seen that.
Well,
We
yeah.
already talked about
Yes.
Death to Smoochie on this podcast, so we
that
already.
was
I'm gonna watch that at some
High
point.
praises
I
on
haven't
that
seen it,
one.
but I
Oh,
know I want
Lyle.
to because I know we've talked
Hmm?
about it.
Lyle, do you listen to the Sardonicast podcast?
No, I'm kind of tired of all three of those guys.
There's a little
but go on.
sardonic doubt.
They tore apart Death to Smoochie. They said it was, along with Going Overboard, it was the worst movie that they reviewed on
How do you
the
compare
podcast.
Going Overboard and that?
Mm.
Like, I feel like
That
those are
doesn't
two
make
different
sense.
realms
They,
of.
they gave it like
Universe.
Why
half
did
a
they hate it
star,
so much?
1 out of 10. They just tore it apart. I mean, I didn't
I
hate
think
it as
that's
much
when
as
you
they
play-
did, but
I think that's when you have the whole
Wait,
like gimmick of being
I was a-
sardonic and you
wait.
take it too seriously.
You hated Death to Smoochie.
I
was
don't
under the-
care. Exactly.
I was under the impression that you
What?
liked it, Cody. We watched it together. You laughed.
no, I said this podcast that I listened to, they ripped it apart.
Oh,
I didn't hate it as much as they did.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, he liked it just fine, but like Sardonicast.
Okay.
I'm surprised they didn't like it at all. Like they just found no redeeming qualities about Death to Smoochie.
They found no redeeming qualities whatsoever about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
No,
thought it
maybe
was
I
a
could
little
say the same.
uneven in terms of its tone, but it was still enjoyable
Half
to
a s-
watch the
half a
cast do
star,
what they
that's-
could.
God, that's so severe.
Okay.
I think the most
got
severe thing would have been giving it 0 stars, frankly. But
I actually got a recommendation.
Okay,
We're kind of talking about Disney films, I guess. Veronica and I
Here we
just did a double feature yesterday. I did not expect, and it was actually not a bad double feature, I might say.
okay.
We watched both Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, and
Hmm.
The Lion King 1.5.
okay,
Oh.
yes, 1.5 great. Surprisingly, one of the Cinderella direct-to-video sequels is not as bad as people may think. I don't know if it's
I've
the second
seen
or third one.
Cinderella. I've seen Cinderella 3 too, and I gotta not 3 and 2, but I've seen the third one, and it's really fucking good.
I think A
So
Twisted Time
you-
is the one that is better than
So
people
you
give it credit
mentioned
for.
that.
But one and a
It-
half is
Yeah,
just like that was the example of here's how you do a mid-cool movie and do it properly.
Like early this week, we just threw on the original Cinderella, and it's great. It holds up. Love it. We both love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then a
Some
day
stuff's a little
after,
dated,
I
but
got probably a
8 years
third
old.
of the way through the second Cinderella, Dreams Can Come True. I was like, I'm
Yeah, Dreams
done.
Come True. But
I'm
like
shutting it
that
off.
already
I'm
did. That's
done.
what the first movie was.
I'm done. And then
I've got some old Disney recommendations later.
the next day, A Twist in Time. I can't believe it. It was surprisingly a solid kind of follow up. I the animation, well, more specifically with Lion King 1.5, I was actually surprised how consistently replicated the colors, everything about it, just like matched the original Lion King.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
I'm kind of jumping back and forth between the two of them. But Cinderella 3 has one of the funniest things I've seen in like a direct-to-video sequel, and it's been memed.
Prince Charming.
Prince Charming
Prince Charming.
was like, I need to go find the one of the one my one true love. The mice said that
You're
she
not
was the wrong
going
girl.
anywhere.
You're not is the father's like, you're not taking one more step down these flight of stairs, and he's just like, he looks over, he's like, okay, and then he just zips past and he just leaps out the window. And the shot of him leaping out the window, Veronica and I just had to pause the movie.
silhouette of him jumping out the window.
I'll send the clip. I'll send the clip to you. That's
Okay,
all
I
you
gotta
need to
add that
see.
to my
Oh
watch list
god, yeah.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I gotta check this out.
The
It
Lion
was
King
yeah, I
one
one
of
and
the
a
wanted
things
to-
half.
I'd heard of it when it came
Um,
out, and just I didn't think that much of it because I was like in high school, and what did I know?
Yeah, I was very, very tempted to say Cinderella 3 as part of my underrated sequels, but I don't
It's
know.
interesting to see the evil stepmother take possession of the fairy godmother's wand and almost be like a wicked witch herself.
Mm.
And
Yeah, it becomes Maleficent.
yeah, it's interesting. And
They were voiced by the same actress.
Would have been a better Maleficent than the one we ended up getting 2 movies of.
and for Lion King 1.5, I mean, I'm so surprised that like everybody reprised their voices.
Ernie Sabella,
Nathan
and
Lane,
Nathan Lane.
all of them.
Yep.
Nice.
Matthew Broderick,
wow.
the guy that played, yeah, everybody.
That's
Even
nice.
guess who does the voice of Timon's mom?
Whom? Who voices?
Julia
My favorite
Kavner.
blue-haired mom.
Julie Cat. Oh,
Julie
Marge
Kavner.
herself.
It
Yep.
was an in-between. It was an in-between period between voicing Marge, and then she was in this, and then The Click a few years later.
Yeah.
Click, yep.
I mean, most of the movie is like you go, oh, that's so cute. They're around this scene I recognize from the original Lion
Yeah.
King, but
A lot
They
of
do a
member
good-
berries.
yeah, a lot of member berries. But
I like how
it's a fine, cute watch. They put a lot of more effort into it than I was expecting.
I
So I can
liked-
say that about both of them actually.
I liked how it shows how Timon and Pumbaa became friends. It also shows like the unseen, the lost scenes of like how they raised Simba when Simba was living with them in the jungle.
Yeah, most of it kind of felt like deleted scenes from the original Lion King.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now we
yeah,
need a
that
supercut. Lion
that's it.
King
That's all I gotta say.
1.25, which is actually just 1 and 1.5 put together.
Hey, Evan, do you like Val Kilmer?
I do, yeah.
Have you ever heard of the movie Real Genius?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
It is the most 80s film I think I've ever seen.
Okay.
Okay, it came out in 1985, and the idea is Val Kilmer is like this super mega genius, and he's also a slacker too, so he's kind of like a cool nerd kind of stereotype. And he has to help this young kid build this frickin' laser beam that the government's like basically hired them to build for the institution. And the whole thing is like so 80s, it's like it hurts.
Okay.
Like I think Ernest
Well,
Klein
I mean, John Hughes
would
is the
marry
company
this movie
producing
if
it,
he
so I
could.
can totally see that.
What you just described to me sounds like Goodwill Hunting meets War Games.
It kind of is like War Games, actually, because, like, yeah, they want to use this laser weapon to destroy the enemy, so,
Yeah.
but they're, like, not about that.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, I was saying, Ernest Klein, the guy who made Ready Player One, references this movie all the time.
Right.
And like he even based
Brad Reed
Artemis,
introduced
like
it.
he based one of the characters on one of the characters from this film. But in any case, by the way, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite is in this too.
Oh, nice.
He plays this super recluse genius who like just lives in a closet,
Trying
like in their
fries.
closet specifically. And they're always like, "Hey, Laszlo." He's just like,
Well,
shuts the door.
It's directed by the woman who did Valley Girl.
Yeah, that's right, Martha Coolidge.
right.
I don't have too much to say. I just think it's kind of a neat movie.
Okay.
I think you guys might get a
That's
kick out of it.
that's good. Does it keep banging it?
Best use of Tears for Fears I've ever seen in a movie
Oh,
too.
nice.
This side of Donnie Darko. So
Wait,
there
you
go.
said this is from the 80s? Oh.
I want to. Oh. Yeah, I want to check this out. That sounds pretty
Corey's coming.
Well, Tears
But-
for Fears. I mean, can't get more 80s than that.
Yeah.
I'll definitely. Yeah, I'm sold though. I want to see this.
Okay, so
All right.
Josh, you got
Who's
anything?
next?
I had a few like rough ideas. I was trying to not pick a lot of the same topics I talked about initially, but I figure, I've been playing a bunch of video games the last week or so because I finally set my PS5 up.
Oh, nice.
So that's very nice. I had to move some stuff around, but now I actually have access to a bunch of games I've had to wait a couple of years to play, or at least a little bit of time. And one of the sort of, I guess, subgenre of like the sort of platformer or action adventure collectathon-y type things is, believe it or not, the Lego sort of subsection of games.
Okay.
Because I've liked
Lego
them for quite a
games.
long time. I mean, granted, Lego is, of course, they get a lot of licensed IPs in, and especially with the game design. Traveler's Tales tends to produce a lot of really high quality stuff. They have a lot of nods to different aspects of franchises, but they're very beefy games, so it's kind
Right.
of hard to get through them all in one sitting. But as much as I've not paid attention to this particular franchise, I can't deny that Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is the most ambitious Lego game to date,
Fair enough.
and I think they've done a great job with it.
I just breezed through all 9 episodes, the story
I'm
mode.
on like 7 now. No, I'm almost done 6.
And what's funny with each episode after I beat the story mode, it just says like you're only 40 to 45% done the episode.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because
God
that's
damn
the
it.
thing. There's a lot of like
God
side
damn
missions,
it.
especially with this game. With this game, if you like replayability, you're gonna do a lot of it because there's so many side characters. Instead of it just
Yeah.
being a usual free play mode, where in past games it's been a hub world, you have your characters to choose between, and you sort of go through and explore the levels. They open up the entire galaxy, so any of the planets you explored in any of the previous levels or movies rather, you can go and you unlock all the different characters. There's like a core upgrade system, which is for all characters, and then each quote unquote class of character has their own sort of like different abilities you can upgrade. And it's like any Lego game, you collect studs. There are the bricks, which in this game are Kyber bricks, but they're normally like red bricks and what have you.
Right.
It was just kind of fun because like I played some of the Lego Star Wars games before this. I think I played the first one on PS2. I played the complete saga and the original
Yep.
trilogy ones on 7th gen systems,
Yeah,
and I've
me
even
too.
played some of the other like either Disney affiliated now or like related ones. I've played some of the Indiana Jones ones. I've played the Incredibles one, some of the Marvel and DC ones. I have pretty much all of them.
They have an Incredibles one. Oh.
Yeah, it came out in like 2018. Well, with this game, it's more like I've not been into Star Wars for a long time. I mean, again, like I've not even done the original trilogy yet, but I know the sequels. I'm like, I don't really care about much of that stuff, but I guess I've got to give it to Traveler's Tales. They put in a bunch of character pack DLC for all of the like new series and stuff post Episode 9, but no levels or missions or anything like that. So I guess if you recognize the characters from all the Disney Plus shows and Rogue One and Solo and what have you, like they're there. And I guess there's also like much like other Lego games, there are those codes. You put them in the code selection screen to get new characters or ships and stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's very detailed. I'm really happy that they finally put space battles in
Yes.
levels, so you get to actually shoot the ships and you get to fly around the spacecraft and everything.
A lot of it
Yeah,
was really fun.
as-
The dogfights, especially.
Just like the detail, because I mean, even if it's a game on like 8th and 9th gen systems, like the idea of actually being in space, it looks pretty nice for a game animated with Lego stuff,
Were you playing
And the
with Marty?
voice acting is pretty solid. I've been playing by myself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I would have just enjoyed it way more if I had like someone to play it with.
Oh,
Um,
so it's got
I'm
good
looking at you
multiplayer
guys.
value. Hey, I'm down. I'm always
Uh,
down to try new games.
Yeah, that's mostly what I've been playing this week. That and like any of the PS1 titles on PS4/5 that I've like been replaying through. Which I do have another recommendation, which it's a platformer that I was when Cody did that pop talk on platforms. Like, damn it, I wish he talked about this.
Oh,
Jumping Flash.
which
I
one?
know that feeling. Sorry, what?
Jumping Flash. So this is kind
Jumping
of a
Flash.
weird game in that it came out at the beginning of the PS1's existence. It was like I think a launch title, or at least it came out in early '95. But you play as this robotic rabbit named Robert, and your basic goal is to stop the evil Baron Aloha from trying to turn Earth into a vacation resort. And you hop around. It's sort of like a weird mix of, in some ways, Doom/Wolfenstein with the sort of first-person-ish view, but it has an almost like top-down 3D approach where you can jump up to like twice. It's like a double jump kind of thing, but because he's a robotic rabbit with jetpacks,
Oh, I know this game.
yeah, it actually grew on me a lot just because of the aesthetics, of course, it being in the mid '90s. The soundtrack is quite fun as well. And there is a good degree of challenge to it. Some of the levels, especially, there's the one where you're going through the different levels of a first there's one where you're going through like a tomb of sorts, and then there's another one where you're going through the levels of like some sort of sunken ship, and you have to go and find these elevators to take you up to each one. And then in an extra mode that you unlock after beating the main game, you end up doing that same level in reverse. So
I've
that's
never heard of this.
it's
This
kind of
actually looks pretty neat.
yeah, it's a PS1 classic on PS3 right now, but with the new PS Plus last year, that was one of the ones that they brought forward. So if you bought it, I think in the PS3 era, you get it for free, at least in North America and Europe. I know in Japan, I think it's only 100 yen if you bought it before, but it's a fun little easy platformer. It's not as hard as like some of the harder moments of like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon, like those kinds of games.
Hmm.
But I also just love it's one of the first long box titles that I remember. So it just, back when the PS1 and Sega Saturn had the like big rectangular boxes instead of the more standard square jewel cases that games of that time had.
Well,
Hmm.
it's on the PlayStation Classic if anyone wants
Oh
to
yeah,
wipe,
it was there
wipe the
Waste
too.
dust on that thing.
or waste your money on it. Oh my god.
No, you could very easily get it for I think it's $6 plus tax on a PlayStation 3 on the PlayStation Store and PS3 while it's still up, or you could get it for I think it's about the same price, maybe like $8 on a PS4 or PS5. If
I
you
might do it
have
that way,
PlayStation
yeah.
Plus,
Hmm.
if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, I believe it comes with that because one of the perks of that tier is you get like classic games for PS1 and PS2 in there, and you can stream PS3 games. But I'm a sucker for PS1 era stuff. Okay, I stand corrected. 13.49. So it's
That's
like
not
almost
bad.
15.
It says
It's
it's
not
about an
bad if you.
hour and 45 minutes of gameplay. I mean, that's not bad.
I would consider actually getting the PS3 version. It also has cross-buy for Vita and PSP if you still have either of those. Plus, it's only $6, and it would get you basically, I think the entitlements carry forward to PS4 and PS5. So you're not spending twice as much for an almost 30-year-old game.
You guys
But
ever play Overcooked?
I've heard of
Yep,
it.
me and
I think
Veronica
Marnie
play
might have
that
played Overcooked
all
with
the
her cousin
time.
I just looked
when they were
over to
one of her
my
cousins.
Veronica and she smiled. Yeah, that's a fun fucking game, but it is just stressful as hell. Um,
It takes a lot of coordination,
yeah,
for
you're
sure.
Something
essentially
I
just
don't
working
have.
together in the kitchen. Someone's either chopping or cooking or
So it's like
prepping
making dinner
or
when you don't have to make dinner.
Serving, cleaning,
Oh, I just
doing
dealing
realized
with
I actually
dishes.
have
fires,
the
or
sequel. I forgot I have the sequel.
We're a big fan of the original one. The second one's not bad. It's just
I like
there's
the second one.
the first one. There's like a bit of a charm to it.
I
That
think it
fucking
might have just
last
been 'cause
level
it was
though
free with PS
brings out
Plus.
brings out the absolute. Lyle, you talk about how you get really pissed when you play games. That
You've
last
Oh,
seen
level,
it, so why are you reminding me?
that last
But I
level of
know, like
Overcooked.
it's funny. It's
It's
funny. I've
12
beaten
minutes of
both
torture.
games.
Hmm.
I've beaten both games. The first one is so abysmal, the final boss. When the second one, the final boss is like way too easy.
What is the
We
final
beat him
boss
in
in
our
the
first
second
try.
one?
I don't remember. I think zombies or something.
Because the first one's like a giant
were
meatball.
there
You're feeding
plants?
a giant meatball.
I don't know
That's
anymore.
interesting.
It's
That
been
sounds
a
like a cloudy
while
like
since
that's
we
cloudy with
played
a chance
it.
of meatballs, but not.
Fuck, you gotta make soup, you gotta make burgers, you gotta make tacos, or no, not tacos. That's not until the other one.
This just sounds
Um,
like Diner
Yeah.
Dash.
like
It's
it
it's
is
kind of
like
like if
that.
you ever
Yeah.
wanted to know. If you ever want to know what it's like to be SpongeBob SquarePants and Squidward, there you go. It's a great game. Hey, actually, SpongeBob should do a reskin of that game. That'd be great.
Well, maybe for the they've already done Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and the Cosmic
Oh, here
Shake
we go.
just came out a couple weeks ago. Maybe that'll be the third one. Just change course and just have it be a restaurant sim.
my buddy
Licensed
Pat,
games.
my buddy Pat raves
Those were the
about
days.
Battle of the Bikini Bottom.
You know,
You know, it's not bad, but
I played
I
it.
remember hearing of it at the time. I think I only had the GBA version, so it was a completely different game than the console one. But ironically, Rehydrated is also, I think, on PS Plus.
Mm.
So it's not bad. It's a good
Not
remaster.
bad.
Okay, so my friend Tim has the remastered version of Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I played it. It's quite fun. Yeah.
I think
I s-
there's a part Pat showed me where it's like you go too far off the map, the live action hand literally comes
Yep.
out and picks you up and puts you back. That's so great.
Yeah, that's in keeping in line with the.
That was in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game too. I remember that.
Mm.
Kind of reminds me of an Imitation Crabs where, like, the giant hand is, like, poking at Mr. Krabs with a fork. Like, back, you hungry hand! Yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
Back, you hungry hand!
Hey,
No,
now that we're talking
yourselves.
about like cooking and eating and all that, have you guys ever watched Hell's Kitchen?
Yes,
Not really.
Yes.
I
Actually, no.
Highly recommend it.
yes.
Not only... I've watched Hell's Kitchen, but the other Gordon Ramsay show that I've watched that I've seen more of is Kitchen Nightmares.
Yep, I've also watched
And-
that too.
Hey, you guys ever been
now-
to Amy's Baking Company?
Oh my god!
You don't like the food. Oh, well, it makes me angry. Don't worry, I told him to fuck off.
Okay.
Oh my
Let me
god.
just-
Well,
don't
that's
fuck
the
off.
most
Let me
infamous
just give you
example.
let me just give y'all some context from that lost episode of the show. Lyle showed it to this past summer. Lyle showed it to me. I was depressed when it was done. I was like, I feel horrible. Like, no, poor Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay's usually not someone I feel sympathy for, but like these fucking people are were unbelievable. They're not in business anymore. Apparently, like Amy herself has an Instagram account.
They still have an Instagram.
And like,
oh my
and
God.
apparently, like, it gets nothing but hate from people who have seen this lost episode of Kitchen Nightmares. They keep like poking at her for like, oh, is that store bought like shit? And it's like, and then she just keeps saying that everyone who
not undeserved.
everyone who just dares to criticize her cooking is just a hater. Like, it's like Trump
Yeah.
supporter logic, you know?
Well, it's just she can't take criticism, and it was like the first time Gordon Ramsay was like, you know what, I can't fix this, I'm out. Like he had to like,
Yeah.
I can't help you.
I felt that was so depressing. Like, I wanted to see Gordon Ramsay give these people like a fix up, but when Gordon Ramsay, of all the motherfuckers in the world, is like, yeah, like, I can't.
You
help
learn
it.
a lot about You learn a lot about Gordon Ramsay through both of these shows. Like he obviously has that
Yeah.
reputation of like being like the hard ass, the guy that yells a lot, but he's actually a genuinely like nice guy
He
when
really
you get down
is.
to him. And he
Yeah.
really tries to like bring out the best out of people. He's basically like J.K. Simmons' character from
In
Whiplash.
Whiplash. Yeah,
Only
except
in the
minus
kitchen.
to a
except
lesser
except
extent.
if you
yeah.
come into
I
the
guess.
if you come into the kitchen like hemorrhaging from a car accident, he's gonna be like, okay, you.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Like Veronica and I,
Um,
literally for the past couple of months, Veronica and I, we have watched probably 5, maybe 6 whole seasons of Hell's Kitchen. It's addicting. There's just like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm not the type of guy that really watches a lot of reality.
It goes
Television,
by
like-
very quick.
Yeah, it's a breezy show. It's like background almost.
Yeah.
Like I've only watched like Fear Factor and now I guess Hell's Kitchen as far as
Fear
reality
Factor.
shows go. And This one just has like this really nice, comforting formula. There's like always this tension of just like, oh, is it undercooked? No, okay, it's beautifully done. Or am I getting eliminated? No, no, you're good. Or yes, give me your jacket. You're out of here.
So
There's always, and then there's always the walk of shame. It's just there is a formula to every episode and every season almost,
But
but then
people keep their
occasionally,
shoes on.
but
do you remember,
occasionally there's always like this sweep under the rug kind of moment. You're like, oh my god, this has never happened on this show before. This is so surprising.
Cody? Do you
And just to see
remember
how delusional but almost so overly
now?
confident some people are,
Did
it's quite
yeah?
fascinating.
Did any of you watch the show when Rogan was hosting it?
No.
Fear
What,
Factor,
Fear
I definitely
Factor?
remember
Yeah,
being aware of
he
it
used
back
to
in the
host
day.
Joe Rogan used to host Fear Factor.
Yeah, my dad and I used to watch a lot of episodes way back in
I
the day when it
actually,
was
I know, I
airing.
think that was one of Marnie's favorite shows when
Yeah.
that was on. So,
Rogan has said numerous times on his podcast now, he was like, I was high as a fucking kite making that show.
I
And
I recall him saying that.
how
Yeah.
he's like how I was able to get past the producers of just my persona and just the way I was acting like on set. He's like, it's beyond me. I don't know how I pulled it off.
Yeah. So if you're gonna recommend reality shows, there's one that my mom and brother used to watch that was like a feel good like Sunday night show. We used to watch Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Any of you guys watch that?
yeah,
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
nice to watch
it was
like
on.
It
every
is,
now and
Yeah.
although
again.
I have learned like in the last year, my friend Laura was telling me that apparently like some of the people that they helped allegedly like were shorted on like donations or like apparently like parts of the dream homes like would fall apart and then ABC like did nothing to reimburse them or whatever.
Oh, really?
But that's just like I have to kind of I just have to look more into that. But like that's just what Laura was telling me.
That
But
happens. It's kind of the nature of,
yeah,
you put a lot of money into something, but also it's like these are big networks.
exactly.
And also Disney like put this together, but like you have to imagine now, especially post recession, I can only imagine how many in the early seasons like had to move stuff around
Yeah.
significantly because stuff lost value or stuff wasn't able to follow through because so and so got laid off or
That's
whatever.
true. But what I liked about Extreme Makeover Home Edition, just it was all the feels. Like even if like there's some stuff behind the scenes, all the feels. Like that's and I like seeing people do good for other people, and I like seeing people happy, and I like seeing people like get lifted out of horrible circumstances or otherwise squalid circumstances. Now there's another reality TV show. Josh, you and I were TVO kids. Lyle and Cody.
Oh, yes.
I don't know about you guys, but
I was.
okay.
Yeah.
So after the conventional, okay. So in the
After these messages,
okay. So like after
Sponsored by viewers
TVO
like
Kids,
you.
Josh.
Fuck
thank
you.
you.
Props to anyone who remembers this show on TVO Kids, but some nights there would be this.
I stay up cashing in my bad luck.
Just
Some nights I call it a
okay.
draw.
So there would be a show called Swap in which take a kid from one family and swap him with a kid from another family.
I think I kind of remember.
Like-
I'm mixing this up with Wife Swap. I just know it.
It was basically for kids. Like, let's say there's a kid who lives in the big city. They'll swap lives with a kid who lives on like a farm, and they'll live with each other's families they'll live with the other family for like a week, and the kid will have challenges. Like for the other kid, like the kid will say, like, I challenge you to learn how to ride a horse, or like let's say the kid works part-time on weekends in like their father's family restaurant in the city. It's like I challenge you to like make a dish or work front of house or something like that. A lot of the kids.
How old were these kids again?
Good question. They're like they're old. They were like older kids, like around 12, 13. So like
Okay, because like that's like the lower end of child labor.
my point exactly. But no, it's the show's all within reason, and I just thought it was pretty cool. But yeah,
I'm
no.
sure it's TVO. Things
None
are
of you,
probably really
but
above board.
I don't think any of you guys remembered that, but I did. It was one of the,
I remember shows that were kind of similar, like Homes on Homes was pretty good.
Right? Yeah.
I was gonna say though, real quick, for Extreme Makeover Home Edition, I think Ty's charisma is a big part of why that show works so well. 'Cause
Yes,
he's pretty
yeah.
enthusiastic and like a lot of times he's like genuinely wanting to like make sure everybody's needs are met.
He was a great host. I do agree.
Of course, I'm surprised they didn't make more merch with "Move That Bus" on a shirt and just a
Yeah.
bus coming towards you.
Speaking of okay, so
Um,
speaking of do you know that there was actually a little joke scene in Extreme Makeover? Okay, so I think it was the movie Wild Hogs of all movies where like there's a little post credit scene where
Oh,
like
Swap TV, that was
the rival biker gang goes on Extreme Makeover Home Edition and the move that bus
I
gang and
forgot
then
that movie was a
the
thing.
the bus like moves and the biker gang has like a new house built for them and they're like freak out and they're all happy and jumpy.
Cross promotion.
Yeah, no. Hey, if but did any of you guys watch Storage Wars?
Yep.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
We were just about to
That's
throw
on
that
Disney
on.
Plus partially. I don't get it. Oh wait, because it's
There's
A&E. Never
I
mind.
have Discovery Plus, and there's like tons of shows all over the
Oh
place
yeah.
that were like
And
that. And
Discovery Plus
we're
though has Unwrapped, and I love that show.
yeah,
Because it's Food Network.
Discovery Plus has like tons of stuff, and Storage Wars was something we were just about to throw on recently, but I'm like, maybe some other time.
It's another one of those things you watch when you have nothing else to watch, just because after a while it's like, how much do they really make from going into all these storage lockers? It's like it's a precursor to Pawn Stars in a sense of like, okay, how
Yeah.
much are they actually pulling a GameStop and like, well, they're basically trying to lowball the people so that they can actually save money and then resell it for more.
The show on Discovery Plus that I throw on when I have like literally, I'm just like I don't feel like throwing on anything to use my brain, just throw whatever on. I just throw on Naked and Afraid. Do you guys know that
Okay,
show?
Well, I know one
can I
part
be
of that
honest
show
with
happens,
you
but
about
how
Nick?
many of them are
Okay,
actually afraid?
I don't know how this happened. You know how like when you get added to Facebook groups and you have no clue who added you or how you got there?
You go to request and you just delete it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know how the hell this happened, but somehow I got added to a Naked and Afraid fan page, and I'm like,
Oh
what
my
the hell?
God.
I think they
I'm
were
like,
just
what the
mixing
hell
up
is
part of
this?
one part of the
So,
show for
do,
another. They wanted
Lyle,
the naked part.
Lyle, do you know what this one is?
I don't know what this is.
Is it
That
the
one's-
one where like, is it the one where people have to like live in the woods naked or something?
Yeah, it's a male and a
Kinda the idea.
female. They're complete strangers, and they have to
Yeah.
live in the woods for 3 weeks, just bare naked, and they have to like build and they can be anywhere. It's in the Amazonian or it's in like some outback place where they're constantly getting bit by bugs and
But
like
it's
they're
still an
the
American
rain
show, so we
comes
gotta
in and
blur all
washes
the
their
nudity
shelter
out.
away, and just
Now,
it's just an absolute
If-
disaster.
if-
And then
if
and then
they're-
you can literally fuck over the other person. You can be like, all right, I'm done, I'm tapping out, and then the other person
seriously?
would just have to carry on by themselves.
Wow.
It sucks.
You gotta leave me alone with my bare ass to the wind.
Wow.
I mean, you'd be surprised. There's like no sexual tension at all watching the show.
Well,
it's kind of disappointing.
That is unbelievable.
I like that because it's like, you know, the concept of if you've seen, I know it sounds cliche to
If you've
say
seen
this.
that one Simpsons episode from a season or two ago, you've seen the whole premise of the show.
Okay, I don't
Pixelated
know. I don't know
and
what you're talking about because I kind of do not give a shit about anything The Simpsons does contemporarily. But I will say this:
Contemporary.
No, I just don't like. I'm
Con,
What are you saying,
temporarily,
Evan? What do you
but
wanna
that's more
say?
of the long con, as in long con.
okay.
temporarily.
So basically,
I feel
like
I'm saying
the whole,
your
the whole.
podcast.
I like how they're playing on the idea that nudity is not inherent to sexuality. Like
Then
nudity.
how come it still gets blurred out in TV?
Well, cause that
Here
take
it
it up
is.
with the censors,
Censorship.
dude. Like, cause like.
So the FCC won't let the be. No, wait, that's actually the CRTC.
Yeah.
They never
And
censor the
you'll wanna-
bums,
Okay.
but breasts and genitals always blurred.
Okay.
It's like watching Japanese
So you're getting
porn.
your
Okay.
so you're getting your fill of booty.
Yeah, that's
if you...
very specific editing techniques in
Yeah.
that medium.
I am. You guys have been talking about TV for a while. I have a sitcom that I would recommend actually because I don't watch a lot of reality
Okay.
TV.
I was about to say sitcom. What? You hate sitcoms?
I know.
It's a calm.
I do
that
hate
you sit in front
sitcoms,
of.
but there's one that I grew up watching. And it's one that my mom introduced me to. You guys ever heard of Taxi?
No.
Yeah, Mary Lou Henner.
Okay, you guys know it. Okay,
I
good.
don't.
But I feel like this is This is one sitcom I rarely see anymore. Like, it's not often on reruns, at least not here in Canada. Maybe
I've
it's more
watched
than
it
that.
quite a bunch. I actually have a very
Maybe it's
soft
more.
spot for it.
I feel like the premise is pretty self-explanatory. It's about this group of cabbies who basically sit around the dispatch all day. They're yelled at near constantly by Danny DeVito's Louis De Palma,
Wait,
and
I
it's a good
think I
cast.
have heard of this.
Yeah, so before he was on It's Always Sunny, there was another sitcom that Danny DeVito was on, and good God, he's terrific in it. He plays like just basically the worst boss imaginable. He hates everybody. He shouts near constantly. He constantly makes passes at like any female coworker. He's just the absolute scum of humanity,
You
and
know,
he's
like
so
you do in the late
freaking
70s.
endearing. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I'm not sure if the show was dated in any way. I'm sure there's certain aspects, but like, I don't know. I really enjoy the cast. You have Judd Hirsch. You have Tony Danza before he was the boss.
The late
And then
Jeff
you have,
Conaway before he was
yeah,
Mickey in the movie Grease, but
Oh,
yeah, Jeff Conway.
and some comedian that tried to wrestle Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman's
So-
in it. That's pretty much the show's biggest
Oh,
baby
and we forgot Doc Brown too.
this show.
Yes, Christopher Lloyd is in this show. It's a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest reunion, actually,
This
with
show-
Danny DeVito.
Is like an Emmy Award winner.
Yeah, no,
It was pretty
good
well
back in the
received when
day.
it came out.
Actually, Lyle,
There's
do
one.
you- oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, there's one iconic bit that I'll probably send in the group chat, but it's called "What Does a Yellow Light Mean?" And if you know it, great. If you don't, oh boy, Christopher Lloyd sells the ever living shit out of that scene. But go on. What were you saying, Cody?
No, I was just gonna say, if you're aware of, I guess it's a streaming service. I don't know, but it's a free one. It's called Pluto TV.
Yeah, that's the free version
Okay,
of Paramount Plus.
another free one. Okay.
It's basically
Is it better than Tubi?
oh, way better,
Or
way
not
better.
Tubi.
Okay.
Well, this is essentially like it's basically like live demand. It almost gives me cable vibes from the way that it's like. Anyways, but it's basically there's one channel that's just 100% like 24 hours straight of Taxi.
Oh my god.
There's
that
one
sounds great.
there's one that's just it's all Cheers. It's all actually both Fear Factor and Hell's Kitchen are on there. Just 24 hours straight. All South Park. Yeah, actually
it's
shout out
Taxis
and
on Paramount
recommendation.
Plus. I'm gonna watch it now.
Actually,
Nice,
yeah,
but,
shout out
the
and
US
recommendation to Pluto TV if you want just like filler background stuff. There's even a Fail Army channel.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god. Oh yeah,
No,
my
you
company
can
had
just
that
avoid
on all the
that.
time.
They haven't
It's
been
just-
relevant in 15 years.
One final note on Taxi is that when I was a kid, I used to watch Man on the Moon, Jim Carrey,
Yep.
Yes,
the
if you-
Andy Kaufman biopic with Jim Carrey,
Yep.
and it's amazing. They actually got the entire cast back to
Yeah.
do their scenes and redo all the bits
Oh,
again,
that's.
and I was
oh,
like,
I gotta watch that. That's really. That was really nice of them to do.
I mean, because like Taxi was a major staple of Andy Kaufman's career, so it's like if you study Andy Kaufman, you gotta at least know something about Taxi because he's pretty much like the standout in that show. But it's really solid, great cast all around, and like it's one of the few sitcoms that I actually like lives in my head rent free. So take her away. What's another
Here
one?
I am to say
Usually
the
that saying only
day.
applies when you're bothered by something, or when something bothers you, but the other thing is the thing that's bothering you, the person that's bothering you doesn't care.
It lives in your head rent free. I thought that was a good thing. It's like, I like this thing so much that it stays in my head all the time.
But that's true. I've heard it applied the other way. Okay.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the modern remake just called Ride Sharing.
Uber.
It's just
Okay.
taxi but with regular cars.
You guys ever been to like this is a change of subject actually, but I think Lyle's been to this before, but you guys ever tried the chiropractor?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been to a
Yes.
chiropractor.
Like a chiropractor in general.
Yeah, just went to go get
Yes,
adjusted.
Many years
Oh
ago.
man,
but
we're
yes.
going all over the place with this
no,
podcast.
like that's it's cool.
It's very rewarding, when you really need to get, back stuff looked at. Anything with joints or your spine, it's very helpful.
I love how
So my
as, we're
hip-
ta-
my-
as we're talking about the
my hip-
chiropractor, I'm stretching the fuck out.
Yeah, don't pull anything.
All right, take
Yeah.
seventh inning stretch, ladies and gentlemen. Been in this podcast for 44 minutes.
Oh, really? It's been that. Wow,
Nice.
it's a short one so far.
Oh, we're ending.
I
Alright.
I had for a while like this really like kind of like uncomfortable feeling in my hip, and I just thought like, okay, I'll just do like a little bit of yoga or stretches just to kind of loosen it, and it just wasn't going away. In fact, every time I would do like a knee to chest stretch, I would always feel
Oh
like
yeah.
a pop in my hip, which
Oh.
despite the fact it was feeling good and it was like nice relief, I didn't know if this was like a good thing to keep on doing, so I wanted to go check it out. So I went to the chiropractor and like he said, yeah, that's kind of normal for like kind of young, lengthy, kind of slim looking guys like you. That's kind of normal. But he said like let me just do like a little bit of like stretches on it. So he puts me on the table and he's like pushing me down, and then he would just kind of like grab my leg and just jiggle it, and I'm just like, this is strange. And he would just like adjust me on the table again. But then when I told him like, can you do a few things with my neck, and like he puts like a
Oh, the
muscle
neck.
stimulator on me and he blasts it, and I'm just like, oh, give me more, give me more,
Yeah,
give me more.
baby.
The muscle stimulator is amazing, and he's like, easy, don't hurt yourself. And I'm like, don't get to a point where it's too uncomfortable. I'm like, no, no, this is great. So he's like, all right. He keeps. So I'm using that for about 15 minutes every time I see him. I went to go see him in October and November, like I think like a total of like 6 or 7 times. Um, and just yeah, just the feeling of just the adjustments in your neck and all that, and just the side adjustments. I would just recommend you, like, I don't know, guys, even if you don't feel uncomfortable in areas, just go in, ask for a
Yeah,
full body adjustment.
it's very
I
relaxing.
mean,
See,
it's very expensive, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
I
nice.
agree.
Like I used to see a chiropractor fairly regularly because I used to work at a junk removal company, so like my back would be really out of shape after a while because of like all the
Yeah.
weight. And I found out while I was when they did an X-ray, they found out that my neck is actually like crooked.
I think I
Right, you
remember.
were
So
saying
usually,
I
that.
I think I
u-
remember you telling me about
usually,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
usually a neck is supposed to be 45 degrees, and I think mine's at 15 or something.
Oh, wow.
So
Severe.
that's pretty bad,
So
and apparently it affects my memory at times, which makes
Oh.
sense. But yeah. So I of everything I have, I should probably get that fixed. But he said I had to see him for like 50 sessions, and I'm like, I don't have the time or the money or the transport. He was all the way up in like Woodbridge or something
oh
too.
wow.
Oh,
When
He was a guy that my drummer recommended. But I'll just find a place nearby. I'm sure I can
yeah.
get it sorted
Now my
eventually.
my history with chiropractors goes back to when I was actually about 10 because well when my mom was young, she had like a serious gymnastics injury that like it took her like decades to recover from. So when she was raising my brother and I, like she's in her 30s, going into her 40s, and like when my brother and I were little kids, dad was the jungle gym. Mom, you couldn't climb on without her getting like strained easily, and she like couldn't do any heavy lifting. But so about 20 years ago, she discovers network chiropractic. She goes to see a chiropractor, but he doesn't really do like much. Like he does like a lot of like the conventional stuff, but that didn't help my mom's case. My mom goes to see this guy for network chiropractic, and network chiropractic, it's not like stuff where they put pressure on like your aching joints or whatever. It's literally like they tap certain points on your body, and that corresponds with like your body's the energy, like the literal energy waves that your nervous system sends through, like, and
yeah.
that causes your body to heal. Like I know it sounds a little out there, so my explanation may not do it justice, but if you see it in practice and you like actually get a taste of it, you'll know what it's about. And I've done it. Well, I did it. I used to do it a lot when I was younger. I would actually go once a week, if not every other week, and it was very, very emotionally resonating.
Mm.
And I would leave sessions feeling calmer and just more centered. And admittedly, I haven't done it in like a really long time, but when I did do it, oh man, like it did wonders for me.
You actually just reminded me of something, Evan. I did this thing a few years ago. You guys have probably heard of these, but I think even Lisa did this in one episode of The Simpsons. Like the sensory deprivation
Oh,
tanks.
sensory
The separate
deprivation
deprivation.
tanks.
Oh, you
Yeah.
try separate.
I
You owe me
think
a
I've
beer.
done something like that.
I've done it
Sensory
twice.
Have you tried it, Cody? Oh,
I-
and would you recommend it?
You know, I would just maybe recommend it just once just to try it out. I think my second time wasn't as good as an experience. The first time I actually had a really kind of weird like epiphany thing. Like I went to like some place where it was like I was on like a cliff like in Australia. Like I don't know how to describe it. It was very strange, but my brain just went to like a cliff on like a giant mountain like somewhere in the outback in the desert in Australia, and I would literally
Wow.
like visibly throw all the negative shit that like people just have on a regular daily life, like anxiety,
This-
depression, over worrying. I would just literally throw words off of this cliff. And
This
it was
sounds
so
like-
neat afterwards
Sounds like
when
the best typing game never made.
when you're
This
just
sounds-
like when you're hanging out just like in like the lounging area afterwards, like you have to shower because you're covered with like epizoin or what are they called, like the salts,
Epsom salts.
Epsom salts.
Epson.
You got to like shower before and after when you do this, and afterwards they just give you like a complimentary tea, and you're just in the lounge, and they have like these books where you can just literally sketch or draw out like what your experience was, and I I literally just did like a
Wow.
very half-assed like stick figured job on like exactly how I described it. It was neat.
I'm sure.
I,
a lot of
I
people
would
do that.
say you know what, sure, I would say recommended just to try it once. The first time I did it was better. The second time when I recommended it and raved it to Veronica, we did like a couples thing, and we both walked out going, "Yeah, that wasn't that cool." She was just like, "I was just floating around. I was waiting for it to be done." She was kind of impatient, you know.
I
so
paid
I don't
for
know.
this experience, and I want it to be over.
It was a gift card thing, but
Okay, well that explains a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Actually, it's funny with the chiropractor. I've been wanting to find a place that does this in Toronto, and I don't know if they study it here in Canada, but it's kind of popular in the States based on like all the TikToks I've seen. But it's this thing called a Y strap, where you lie on your back and they'll have like this thing where there's a strap that goes under your chin, and the other side goes like just like kind of on the back of your neck, and they'll get to a point where ooh you feel loose, and then they'll pull, and apparently it's supposed to like
Okay.
strengthen like your upper back and your neck, but you hear like this pop, and it's just oh my god, I want that feeling.
It just
So
sounds like all the
badly.
bone cracking videos.
nice.
Oh, those are satisfying as hell.
Like, well, sports there, I've seen. Yeah, this is when I would used to watch the Try Guys a lot more. But like, there was a video where
Oh,
they
yeah.
would go to they actually got their bones professionally cracked, and it wasn't just them. Like some of the staff did too. I like the idea of that, but also like with my bone density or just like my general like thinness, I'm not sure if too much pressure could like really break something. I mean, obviously the professionals, they know what they're doing, but the extent of like, I guess to go back to the chiropractor story. When I was in my like preteen years, I went to overnight camp during the summer for like 2 or 3 years,
Mhm.
and during that time, I kind of was hunching over a lot, and I developed a really bad posture to the point where I had scoliosis for a little bit. You know, the whole spine
Oh
curvature thing.
no.
Oh,
Hmm.
wait.
It wasn't severe, but it was like a little bit of a curve. So then my
I would've
parents wanted me to
I
go
would've-
see a
I would have
chiropractor.
known you when this happened. So, well, of course I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the implication. But I went for like maybe a month or two, and there was like that tapping thing. It was like some device where like my chiropractor would tap like parts of my back, like to try and get the bones to realign,
Oh
like the
yeah,
spine to
I've
realign.
seen that. I've seen
And
that.
that's basically just taught me that I should not take, good posture for granted. So I always have, ever since then, I've made sure to, sit upright and, fly right and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of Try Guys, there is a YouTube channel that I used to love for a long time. Mind if I give that a shout out?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you heard of this. You probably haven't, unless Evan caught me watching this guy. He's a Canadian YouTuber, and he's called Coconut Buyer, and he's an animation channel.
Well,
He animates everything with Paint, MS Paint, not the real Paint.
Oh,
And what it amounts to is he does like this long running series it started out as a parody of Control Alt Delete, which is a really bad gaming web comic. And if you haven't heard of it, it's not a big loss. But anyways, I'll let that joke say goodbye.
Okay, for the
And
I
record,
kind of heard of that one,
I'm
I
so
think.
you send us a link because I don't remember seeing you ever watch this. I believe you'd seen this though, but yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
like really
so-
old,
He does-
like 15 years ago? Like, they did like
yeah, a lot of his stuff has been around for a while. I think his oldest video is 16 years ago. So
that
you
that
get a
old
lot of
Mario
like Windows
cartoon?
Movie Make. Yeah, he does. He used to do like videos where he just like takes like clips from like the Super Mario show or the Sonic show. But no, I like some of his series. I think Video Game Dudes is actually pretty
Oh.
hilarious. Like I said, it's a total takedown of this awful webcomic, Control Delete. And then it kind of became his flagship. So it's kind of weird. The parody ended up being something he transformed into his own thing. So now Buckley McVideogames is like his most popular character.
Let me see.
And he also has another side series I always loved called I Concur, which is kind of like Flying Rhino Junior High. I don't know if you remember that show. It's just like
Hey,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a great show. That's a great
yeah, it's
show.
just kind of like a bunch of kids in school dicking around. But yeah, no, I was like a Patreon for a long time. He also does some pretty brilliant parodies too. He does takes the shit out on Illumination Studios a couple times. He has like a little podcast. His podcast is just okay. But yeah, a really amazing thing is that I used to be a Patreon for him. And I started talking to him for a while because he didn't live too far away from me when I was younger. And then I noticed a notification on my YouTube channel and he actually subscribed to me.
Oh, no.
Hey,
Nice.
very
Right
nice.
And he had commented down below. He's like, "Oh man, your MS Paint videos remind me so much of my own work. It's great. Keep going."
Awesome.
Yeah, so Coconut Buyer is a real dude. He's pretty funny, and I still quote him to this day. It's like, "You better be wearing nothing but lipstick, boots, and a bow when I get back."
This reminds
That-
me of, for
that
some
sounds like
reason,
Venture Brothers.
does anybody know Jerry Jacobs?
No.
No,
Never mind.
No.
That's a rabbit hole I don't want to bring up. Just
Okay.
old, pre-internet, no, pre-YouTube, pre-YouTube kind of like strange flash videos that I just get a kick out of.
I do love me some Oni NG.
I'll send
No.
it to you. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
There was some channel that I think Lyle introduced me to a few months ago that does really
Oh
good,
God, I'm scared.
really good claymation work that I forget the name of it now, but I've seen they've done there was some sort of Rick and Morty-esque thing.
Okay, Josh, it's Lee Hardcastle.
Thank you, Lee Hardcastle. Ever since
Oh
Lyle
my
introduced
God.
me to his channel, I have been very impressed with his work, just because it is absurdist,
Yeah.
but it is really Summer's Sleepover was what I just watched a few weeks ago, and that was hilarious and dark,
Yeah,
but
it-
hilarious.
Yeah, it's very rare to find very good claymation YouTubers. Not impossible, of course, but like Lee Hardcastle is one where I actually see him going places. Like he does phenomenal work. He was on the Poloni show, which is on Disney Plus. He even has like a segment on the ABCs of Death. That entire series. I think he appeared once or twice. He often appears in these horror anthologies too. He's quite good, quite brilliant. Kind of funny too. Just a delightfully twisted young man.
I definitely recommend.
It was a bright future
Summer
ahead of him.
Sleepover is more recent, but I'm not sure if I remember watching this recently, but Robo with a Shotgun.
Ah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I also liked he did one where it was like Reservoir Dogs mixed with The Simpsons. I like that one a lot.
Any
He
of the
also
60
did,
seconds with Clay entries as well, because I remember
Oh,
in
yeah.
preparation for our Wes Anderson episode, I think you linked me the Life Aquatic one.
that was a good one.
That was
He
fun.
also did his Eraserhead one was funny too, and Shaun of the Dead. And I like Gerbil Hell too, because like those Gerbil videos tick me off. So someone taking the piss out of those, that's a win in my book. Yes,
Yeah,
indeedy.
It's like a
Lemon
reminder
squeezy.
that Aardman made Wallace and Gromit, but they also made Angry Kid, which is like some of the most edgy stuff they'd ever done. And that's
Hello,
kind of
doggy. This is my fries. They're for me. Advocate. That's the only thing I remember from that crap.
Yeah, it was
Evan,
Canadian cartoons.
do you have a YouTube channel that you recommend?
UK
Any
one.
come to mind? That
Literally the day you moved out, I discovered the YouTube channel Green Dot Aviation, which I mean, I'm
Oh.
the air guy. Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna
The
put
air guy.
well, like I'm just the aviation guy. Like I like planes. So, but the thing is, like, I feel like I'm just gonna put you guys to sleep. It Green Dot Aviation he basically dissects air disasters, not necessarily plane crashes, but like incidents as recently as a year ago in which planes lost power like over like the ocean, or like two pilots struggled for like control of a fully functional like airliner. Like there was this one video that gave me chills where like an Air France airliner, like literally within like the last 5 years, the pilots lost control of the plane upon landing at Charles de Gaulle in Paris. And they aborted the landing, and at first they was like, what the hell went wrong? Why did we lose control of our plane? And the guy talks about it on his channel, and he basically explains that in like aircraft terms, it was like a failure between like pilot communication, because like when there's a captain and a first officer at the helm of a passenger aircraft, it's literally like you have to communicate out loud everything you're doing, and the pilots basically basically failed to do that, and that's what. But an air disaster was like avoided, but like I said, it doesn't cover like just plane crashes. It covers like incidents aboard airliners. One of them that actually got a ton of views actually is a one that I want to make a feature film about sometime after, because I'm currently like developing a feature film, but after like that's done, I would love to make like my next feature film after that be like the recreation of like this near air disaster that happened in 2001. And I know the big air disaster that everyone thinks of when they think of 2001 is 9/11, but it's actually not 9/11. So it is something completely unrelated, but it basically like I want to make a movie about this particular air disaster. Lyle and Cody, I think I sent you guys the link in like another group chat with our friend Sean, and it was like yeah, I want to make a movie about this. Like if you watch the video, then you'll understand what I'm saying. But
hey, you know what? Speaking of that, you just brought up Sean. Shout out to his book, Welcome to the Sex Shop.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting into books now. Yeah.
I am halfway
I'll
through
borrow
that.
one of your copies sometime and read it.
I'm halfway through it, and holy shit!
It's
just,
a good
what an experience. I feel bad. I feel like anything I've ever complained about living in Toronto is almost like first world problems compared to fucking Sean's experience.
No kidding. Yeah.
Like I mean, Jesus Christ, and like. And I'm gonna wait till I finish the book. I know he's using a lot of pseudonyms, but like I kind of want to visit this place just as a joke.
I've been there.
Where is it exactly?
There.
I don't know.
Wait,
You
Lyle,
could beep out something.
I think it's closed now. It was down Yonge Street. It was like a 24-hour
Is it in
place.
between Wellesley and College off of Yonge?
Because
the way he's describing it in the book.
Yeah, I think it was just before college.
Yeah, the way he's describing it in the book, I'm like, okay, I get where the general area when he's talking about it, but I'm just kind of like, what's a fixed location?
Yeah, no, we've been very attached to that book since its inception. I remember Evan and I. It originally was a screenplay.
Yes.
And we read through the entire thing. I'm like, this guy reminds me of Repo Man, just like this guy stuck in this underground society of like crummy individuals doing dirty things.
Goddamn Repo Man or the Batman. Goddamn, that's your world.
Bat Repo.
Now, just
the Repo Batman.
you want to hear something funny? So,
Gotta throw in X.
So-
And X.
Repo X
do you know
Batman.
what's? Do you know what's?
Pearl.
Hey, Cody.
I'd recommend all those movies. They're the bomb.
Cody, you'll like this. So,
They're the bum.
so the week Sean released this book, Welcome to the Sex Shop, on Amazon, was also
Yes.
the week that he got married in August of 2022. And I remember placing the order the week before of his wedding, and it arrived like the day before Lyle and I and his friend Katie drove up to Meaford for the wedding. I remember the book coming, but I didn't have time to read it until like 5 days later. Lyle and I got on a plane to fly out west, which we talked about in another episode. I started reading the book on the flight out there, and because I'm a slower than average reader, when the plane landed, guess which page I was on.
And then just all of a sudden the plane lands, and there's just loud raucous laughter.
No, guess which page I'm on when the plane landed.
Guess which plane you were on?
What?
Nice.
Guess which page?
Nice.
No, guess
Which
which
one?
page I was on page.
Just say it.
I was on page 69 when the plane landed. And
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha,
That's why I said
ha, ha,
the thing
can't
twice
touch this.
to emphasize.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually managed to finish the whole book during that entire trip. That was a very enjoyable
And I
read.
envy you.
Usually-
And I envy you for that because you're a faster. I'm a slower than average reader, and you're an average reader.
Yeah, but let's see, I read so fast that it's very hard for me to retain
It's not a
information.
16th
So,
grade level, is it?
so yeah, it's kind of.
I just
I don't really enjoy reading that much anymore.
I kind of like just like picking it up when I'm just in bed going to sleep. I'll just like read a whole chapter and make sure that I finish the chapter. I kind of hate when I stop in the middle of
Shoot,
like,
I actually have like some
Yeah.
ebooks that I've downloaded these last
I
few months.
remember,
I'm trying to remember what
Veronica
they were.
found my copy, and she's just like, Lyle, what the fuck is this?
Wait, you,
That's
you didn't tell her
classic.
My
when
friend-
we bought it?
It's not
What?
mine. My friend gave it to me.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
You
that
did. Oh, that's
classic
right.
excuse of wasn't me. Da 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 da.
Yeah,
Wasn't
that's
me?
right. That's
if the
right,
book ever
yeah.
blows up, I have a signed copy of it, so it'd be nice.
So do I.
You should get a second copy.
Yeah.
Then you can read one and frame the other. I've got book stuff. I have it on an external drive, I think. So just give me a sec to load it up. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I just remembered something that, like, sometimes, yeah, I will like read the book when I'm going to bed, but something I've been doing actually just recently a lot, and Veronica's been liking it, is we just recently rediscovered mini clip games.
Oh
What are
yeah,
those?
that's mini clip is timeless.
Miniclip.com, all those like games. Like I've just been playing like
Mhm.
Oh,
Uno.
like addictinggames.com. Am I?
Basically, yeah, same
Oh,
idea, yeah. And like I'll just play these games on mute, but have on another tab like a podcast playing. Like, it's just kind of funny stuff to do.
I see. Yeah.
I have some.
I think the one that
well,
actually,
Josh is.
in particular, the podcast, it would be like Your Mom's House. I know had you guys listen to a little bit of that. Your Mom's House and Two Bears, One Cave. It's just all of Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, that whole comedian
Right.
group. Did you guys
Not
know?
really ringing a bell.
Now, Bert Kreischer, do you guys know about the famous The Machine bit that he did?
No.
When he was 17,
Nope.
when I was 17 years old, I got involved with the Russian mafia. And when I was on the train, the Russian mafia came in and said, "Who are you?" And he had no idea what to say. He just goes, "I am the machine." And they're like, "Who
Oh,
are
you
you?"
told me this.
He's like,
in
"I am the
car, yeah.
machine." So yeah,
Oh.
this whole bit explodes, becomes viral. So apparently, and I just watched a trailer for it today. He's making a movie called The Machine, where Bert Kreischer plays himself, and like years later, the Russian mafia like comes back to like finish what he started, kind of thing. And his dad is played by Mark Hamill.
Oh.
So that
So it looks like a raunchy kind of like R-rated comedy, but it's
I think
just
Michael
like
sent me this trailer today. Actually.
yeah. I mean, it might be stupid, dog shit, whatever, but I'll probably go see it just because I just saw Bert Kreischer in stand up actually a couple months ago, and he's hilarious.
Stupid dog shit. Whatever sounds like a type of movie that like, oh, this is like a stupid dog shit whatever movie.
I mean, because normally with like certain comedy, like comedians, like when they do like a comedy vehicle, it does not turn out well. Like it just happened with Joe Coy. There was one comedian that like my
Oh,
parents love him. He's this
okay.
Filipino comedian, Joe Coy. He did a. It was such a bad movie I watched with him. Easter Sunday.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, I've heard of
Easter
that.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Not that came
Ugh.
out.
that was directed. It was directed by the guy who did Super Troopers.
Oh my god. Okay,
Okay, yeah,
He's
I don't know.
Cody,
It
part of
just
the
didn't.
Broken
It just
Lizard.
didn't translate well.
just to,
Like,
to clarify, I remember seeing the Easter Sunday. First of all, it comes out in the middle of summer, so off season much.
That's why you don't name your movie after a holiday.
Second of all,
A very specific
no,
holiday.
no. Second of all, I remember watching this trailer. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what this movie's about. And then when the title drops and like Easter Sunday, I'm like, okay, like I talk about like a trailer that fails to establish what the movie's about. Seriously.
it was basically just like him trying to have like a family reunion, and I don't know. I
I
can't really
gather.
remember too much of it. But he didn't write the script. Like, of course, you want like a comedian who's the main character of the film to actually have some say into like the screenplay, and that's what kind of felt off about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I see.
Sometimes you just
I,
got to stick with their comedy routines on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
Their
fair
Speaking of
specials are always
comedies,
yeah.
speaking of comedies, Cody, I have a horrible comedy to recommend to you.
Oh,
Get
great.
ready. I think I've talked to you about this. Have you seen Grind yet?
No, you've talked to me about it though.
Yeah, Grind. It's probably the most early 2000s thing I've ever seen. You got like half the cast of Jackass and like all these like skateboarders that
Oh
show
yeah,
up, and it's really
I remember Bam. Yeah, I was looking up whatever movies Bam Margera was in, and then I noticed he's in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not great, but like it's kind of fun. Like if you like skate culture, if you're into like stuff from back then, I don't know. It's kind of a time capsule, or it's kind of like an interesting
Yeah, it was like
cultural
that and Lords of
artifact.
Dogtown around the same time.
Well, that one was better, yeah, but
Yeah.
this one, it's no masterpiece, but I don't know. I kind of dug it
Okay.
hmm
for what it was.
Now,
Just a quick
Oh,
one.
can we go back to the books? I found the books I was
Okay.
referring to.
I want to go back to
Okay.
we'll go back to
Books,
books,
he
but
likes.
I want to talk because you brought up a movie from the 2000s. There's one movie that I watched the other
here we
night
go.
specifically for the purposes of this episode that I wanted to get off my chest. So let's go back to hear
Sure.
what Josh says, and then we'll go back.
Okay, let me just see here because I found a whole bunch of I found my EPUB. So the first
Oh,
sort
did
of
you know?
well, the first book I remember like reading through a while ago was Fresh at 20: The Oral History of Mint Records. It's from 2011, but basically it
Ooh.
sort of chronicles like the first 20 years of this really awesome indie label in BC, Mint Records. They've put out a lot of stuff. Their first real big success was this band Cub, which some of you may or may not know, but their song New York City was actually covered by They Might Be Giants.
Oh,
And I did not
yeah.
know
Yeah.
that that version was a cover until I read this
That
book.
band that you covered
I've
in one of
just,
the albums episodes.
Yeah, like one of my favorite bands ever. But it also goes
Yeah,
in, like you have interviews with the two guys that founded the label, and Mint is also responsible for really to helping the new pornographers take off, as well as the solo career of Nico Case, who's one of the members, Nardwar and his band, the Evaporators, the Sadies, and a bunch of other Canadian bands, past and present, sort of owe their start to Mint. So it was really neat. I'm a sucker for reading books about music, and especially
Sure.
within the industry, seeing how people got their start, and people that
yeah.
bet on
I
themselves.
just applied to Mint actually. I sent my album over to them, so
Very
here's
nice.
Fingers
hoping
crossed.
Fingers
here's
crossed.
hoping they get in touch with me. But I'm familiar with Mint because of that list you sent me, so
I may or may
was an
not
ear
be
opener.
dabbling in a new hobby now that I don't know if I recommend.
All right, cool. Do you have what's another book? Wait, what was that one called again? Just
It's
so I
called
have it
Fresh at 20: The Oral History of Mint Records.
on. Okay, great.
There was another one here. I think I may have talked about this before, but I read this. This is from 2020. It's called Larger Than Life: A History of Boy Bands from New Kids on the Block to BTS.
Cool.
That's
Now,
a
granted,
perfect title.
it's essentially just so Maria Sherman, who wrote this, she did a lot of research into just sort of the evolution of what it starts from like even the beginning of like I guess even before, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, before the classic rock version of boy bands, I guess into the R&B days even, and then it goes forward, but it focuses primarily though on, the late 80s through to really, I guess, the present day. That's when the idea of, a boy band and pop music, pushed tons of units, and just the sort of impact that has, and obviously when social media came in, fans are both united and even more divided than ever. And
Right.
I thought it
Yeah.
was just a great read because there was stuff that I was definitely familiar with at that time and around, and then just, trying to relate to stuff today. But, sometimes there are just books that are written in such a way that you feel really like you're getting to know a little bit about the person that's writing it. It's a little more informal, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Okay.
And the cover also really caught my eye. It's quasi pop art in the design, but it's also something, it is very much like a comic book as well. Like it has that sort of appeal to it.
And send it
But
over.
I guess I'm like Cody in that I don't read a lot of traditional books anymore. I used to love reading traditional books, but the more immersed you get in electronics, the more complicated that gets.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
hey, I know we're not sponsored by them, but thank God for Audible in my
Unless they
case.
want to.
Hit us up.
Oh, wait. It's time for the ad read. This episode of So to Speak is brought to you by Product. Are you struggling right now? Well, this product is for you. And if you type in the code "Go Fuck Yourself," you can get 0% off on this
Uh,
product.
You
Now
bastard.
back to the show.
oh my God, there's
Thank
so
you,
many.
Corey.
I'll share with you some other books sometime, but I thought those are two where I'm like, I'm gonna read those again, and especially if you use EPUB uh, files, I want to recommend the program Sumatra, which is a lightweight PDF reader that you can basically use for PDF files, EPUB files, if you read graphic novels or comics, .cbr files, and you don't have to, use any proprietary software. It's very easy,
Yeah.
and it's portable version, so you don't even have to install anything directly to a computer or hard drive if you don't want.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's cool. Okay, so I know like we were talking about books. Is it cool if like so I there's a movie I watched specifically for this sake of this episode. It's a movie that I've wanted to see like for years that I've just kind of never gotten the chance to watch. But I've like okay, screw it, I'll watch it. And I watched it a couple nights ago. So do you guys remember a movie? I know according to Letterboxd, none of you have seen it, or maybe you've heard of it.
What is it,
It's
Evan?
called Closer. Picture this.
Oh,
It's
But it's better if you do.
Amanda Seyfried and Liam Neeson.
No, you're thinking of Chloe, which is from
No,
2000.
but it's better if
Oh,
you do.
Okay.
Yes, I remember this
Oh, the one
movie.
with Natalie
The
Portman.
one that
She's a
Panic at the Disco
stripper.
loves, apparently.
Yeah.
At least
Clo-
that first record.
Closer is a movie where Natalie Portman plays a stripper. Yeah.
I'm not allowed
But
to
but
touch.
Hotel Chevalier was the one that swore her off of nudity in movies, you see.
Oh, really?
Pretty
oh.
much.
You know
Okay,
what's
so
funny? The poster jumped to mind for Closer, but for some reason I was thinking of Chloe.
no, because
It does look similar to
very
Chloe,
The
you're
similar,
right.
exact
yeah.
same letters are in there.
But Lyle.
Get rid of the S and the get rid of the senior, and you're good to go.
Yeah, no, but like, speaking of
No
on the
seniority
topic of
with
Chloe, Lyle, if you haven't seen Chloe,
Yes.
I recommend it.
I've seen the scene where Natalie Portman is a stripper.
Adam
'cause I was
McGoyan
curious.
is a
We're kind of okay.
not. He's a director.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah,
he does good stuff,
makes,
but he is
he
out
makes
there for sure.
he makes the films of all time.
Okay, do you know I actually attended a Canadian producer workshop many years ago at the Canadian Film Festival, and the guy leading the workshop, like I asked him about Adam Egoyan, and the guy did not like Adam Egoyan's work at all. I'm like, oh, so have you seen this movie Chloe shot in Toronto? And it's like, yeah, it's not good. But no, there is.
So why are you recommending Closer though?
Okay, Close.
I feel like we're talking about two
We are.
separate movies.
Okay, just for clarification, Closer was released in 2004. Chloe was released 5 years later.
Evan, just talk about Closer. Enough with the Chloe.
I'm trying
down in
to
circles.
adjust the difference between the two so there's no confusion. Okay, from now on, I'm not talking about Chloe.
What?
Closer.
Enough. Shut up, Chloe.
What have I
Okay,
done?
fucking
Keep
stop.
the right one out.
Okay, seriously. Okay, so
What have I
Closer.
done?
It's okay. Don't worry, Cody.
What the hell?
Okay, so Closer is Closer is a movie based off of a play. It's about Natalie. Okay, Natalie Portman kind of just is running away from a breakup, so she goes to the UK where she meets Jude Law after a lorry runs her after she gets hit by a car. And so Jude Law takes her to the hospital and they have a relationship. But Jude Law has the hots for a photographer played by Julia Roberts who gets committed to Clive Owen. And the whole movie is a mesh of these couples cheating on each other. But the dialogue's really powerful. It's very jaded, but Natalie Portman they all really show their acting chops. It's really good. And you want to talk what was the movie, Josh, you mentioned that caused Natalie Portman to swear off nudity in film?
It was a short film, Hotel Chevalier. It's a prequel to the Darjeeling Limited, which Wes Anderson. And also, No Strings Attached was okay, but that wasn't.
I haven't seen No Strings Attached. But no, honestly, there's no full-on bodily nudity in Closer. There's a scene where you see Natalie Portman clad in stripper attire, where she is in a private booth with Clive Owen. But other than that, there's no hardcore nudity. And even when she flashes, it cuts away.
Are you sure? Are you sure you were watching the right cut of this movie?
Yes, I downloaded it off of YouTube. I'm not gonna get the
YouTube.
Oh yeah, because the bastion of free
clean content.
Uncensored content.
The place where you can't say swear words anymore. Apparently, I don't know what.
The bastion of unfiltered content.
Cody, stop swearing. You're gonna get us demonetized.
Gonna replace her.
We make money. We're monetized.
But yeah, no.
What's a monetized?
But honestly, if you guys like heavy dramas that you'll want to watch once, check out Closer.
Okay.
If you like a movie that you'll
Hey, I got a movie that you only want to watch once.
Well, it's like The Whale,
Once.
you know? It's like The Whale.
I'd watch The Whale again.
You'd watch The Whale again.
I don't know. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it again.
I liked Closer too, but I don't know if I'll ever watch The Whale again.
They should have been called. The sequel should have been called Even Closer.
I got a drama for you guys actually. That's a perfect segue. Are you guys familiar with the work of Robert Altman?
Yes.
Yes.
Somewhat. Yes.
Okay.
Vaguely.
Wonderful,
I am.
wonderful.
I
Okay.
am very close to watching The Player soon.
Oh man, The Player's really good.
Player.
Everyone in film school recommends The Player. And yeah, there's one film of his that I found just when I was searching for criterions, and it was this 1993 film. You guys ever seen Shortcuts?
Shortcuts. Yeah, I've heard. It's been sitting
Since
on.
you told me about since I saw this on there, I really do want to watch this.
Yes, I was very tempted to put this on an underrated podcast, but the thing of it is pretty highly acclaimed and it's pretty talked about. I just feel like it's not really on the radar of most people's film scope or in the film sphere when you talk about things, and it's too bad because I'm just gonna go down a list. I'm gonna say some of the names that are attached to this film, and I want to see how many eyebrows are lifted. So we have Andy McDowell, Jack Lemmon, Julianne Moore, Matthew Modine, Fred Ward from Tremors, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Chris Penn, Robert Downey Jr., Tim Robbins. Where the list keeps going on. Oh yeah, Frances McDormand.
That's
Lily Tomlin.
The
Lily
woman
Tomlin
that won
and
all the Oscars a few years ago.
And Tom Waits.
And the
and
dad
Huey
from
Lewis.
The OC.
Oh, and then some guy, I don't know if you know him, Lyle Lovett. I don't know. Nobody talks about Lovett.
He's
But
well, I love it.
he's a country singer.
I love it just like Lyle, and not only that, Lyle.
Do it
Oh, and
doggy
also
style.
some guy that believes in the power of love.
Yeah, Huey Lewis. Yeah, so this cast is absolutely stacked. It's based on the, let me quickly pull his name. It's based on the works of Raymond Carver. And the way it works is, it's very much like Magnolia. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Magnolia.
Yeah.
Where it's this huge assembly of characters that go about their day.
Magnolia?
Yes, Paul Thomas Anderson, Tom Cruise. Yeah, that one. Julianne Moore is also in that,
Oh.
and it's like these characters interweave, and through their interactions, it causes like a there's like a catalyst that causes other events to happen, and it's a sprawling epic of a story from L.A. And honestly, yeah, for a movie that's over 3 hours long, and you know me, I hate long run times. I did not feel the length with this one whatsoever. I was very hooked on it, and I will say I almost think I like it more than Magnolia because I find Magnolia to be very dour, and just kind of has like maybe one or two tones throughout. This one, there's like comedic elements. There's like, oh, that's awkward, kind of cringe moments. There's like really sad moments, really devastating moments, really violent moments, and each like it all plays off each other quite nicely into a really climactic ending. I actually think like you can make a diagram of how similar this could be compared to Magnolia, which came out afterwards. So if you want to sit down on a couch and have a very very long double feature of these two movies, then I would highly recommend Shortcuts. I mean, I have it. I could actually bring it next time, but I don't know. I thought it was very well worth my time, and I would happily revisit it if if I've nothing to do.
I'm sold. I'm sold on this.
All
I'll
right,
check it out.
excellent.
I'd
Do you,
like to
do you
check
know
it
the
out.
trick to get through a very long film?
What
What's
is
the
the
trick?
trick? Because I need help.
Just on one of your days off on like a weekend or whatever, just wake up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and just throw it on right away. And then
That's
you
not
still
a
got
bad
the rest of
idea.
your day
That's
to
interesting.
just, yeah. That's how I do it. I've been trying to do that with Malcolm X for a while, but it's 3.5 hours.
Oh man, I had to do a report on that guy, so that movie was definitely part of my research study time. Maybe it ate up all my research
How
study
old
time,
were
but
you when
still.
you did that report, Lyle?
I don't know. I was in high school,
Okay.
so maybe like grade 11, maybe.
I see.
I don't know.
All right,
15.
guys, I got one more little recommendation, and I don't know, maybe, I don't know, what are we calling it? It's been an hour and a half. I don't know.
All right, I mean, okay, sure. Unless anyone else has another one, but
I'll,
yeah. What's
I'll go after him.
Okay, I got one
Alright.
more. Maybe binge it once it's all done, but wow, The Last of Us is
Knew
thoroughly
you were
enjoyable.
gonna say that.
I haven't even played the first game yet.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm waiting.
I am very.
going-
Yeah,
it's
I'm not-
good.
Okay.
play the
It's
game first.
it's going down as possibly
Yeah, I'm
the
yelling timber
best.
because season 2's already coming, and you know what that means.
Hey, no spoilers.
Nick Offerman's good in it though, but Nick Offerman is good in just about everything he does because he's Ron Goddamn Swanson.
Yeah, he does such a great dramatic job in the show. I'm so surprised by that, actually. Whole production value, and the performances are excellent. There's like it's nice to see a show that's kind of shot in our own backyard. It's all shot in Alberta. It's
Nice.
adapting the game so well. I mean, I'm kind of echoing a lot with what Veronica says, but like there's a lot of parts in it that are just replicating the game, but then there's a little bit of changes that are just not devaluing the game, but it's changes that kind of make sense, and it's doing its own thing that kind of surprises, people that are really used of the game. But as me, like I'm kind of just watching it as its own thing, and it's working really nicely. And yeah, it's we're six as of this recording, I guess. We're 6 episodes in, and it's better than like 6 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Nice.
That's not hard to do.
Well,
Yeah.
Really not.
I mean, unless Nick
supposedly-
Offerman's gonna be in Death Stranding 3.
Okay, the thing with The Walking Dead is that The Walking Dead was popular for a while, and then its popularity just got completely overshadowed. But the show just kept chugging along, nothing too crazy.
I don't know. I just fell out of it really, like after
Can
season
you
3
ever
because
say
it was
you
so
fell out of something you
boring.
never truly got into?
Everybody
then,
I know,
one day
everybody
I
I know
was-
has a certain point in The Walking Dead where it's like they just tap out.
Yeah, it's a boring show. Hardly
just
anything
doing
very
happens, and
boring
it's
jokes.
cheaply written. In fact, I even like just recently, I was like, "Is it still on? Is it still on?" Because I checked, and I'm like, "Oh, it's over." So, not wanting to waste my time, I read the last few episodes, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" It ends on like some stupid cliffhanger, like, "Oh, where's Rick? What happened to Rick?" It's like I don't care. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, let's let it
He's
die.
still alive.
Morty
Yeah, I
finally
don't
can
know.
take
The Last of Us-
over and assume his rightful
It's just
place.
but The Last of Us, it's doing the game justice as it's just a very nice human drama with the backdrop being a very lived-in, believable post-apocalyptic world, and I highly recommend it. It deserves all the praise right now.
Oh, I believe it too. Now,
I
I
don't watch HBO Max enough.
I haven't seen The Last of Us and I haven't played the games, but
I think you should try playing the actual first game first, and by that I mean either the PS3 version or the remastered version for PS4. Leave the part one stuff for a bit
I
because it's not even out yet fully, at least not on PC.
well,
It's
I
just better
And
graphics,
wait for
that's
price
all.
drop.
if it's on
Yeah,
Steam,
it's a third it's a third version of a game from 10 years ago.
if it's
Yeah.
on Steam, I could probably check
It will
it
be,
out.
but not for another month or so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
If
going to be on Steam soon.
Then I'll probably check it out when it comes on Steam, but I don't own a PlayStation console, so that
Oh, you should.
yeah, I should. You've been saying that for like the last 30, 25
No,
years.
you can get. You don't even have to get a slim PlayStation 3. That gives you at least. Well, if you want a fat PS3, you get 3 generations worth of games in there: PS1 discs,
Well-
PS2 discs, and PS3. But even a slim one, you can still get lots of stuff on the PlayStation Store.
Well, I will see what happens because my new roommate, soon to be new roommate, allegedly is a PlayStation guy too. So we'll see what happens there. But at any rate, I kind of want to check out The Last of Us, the game, as well as the show. But seeing how I've seen like the side by side comparisons like on like social media and just seeing how good a job they did, and then I
Yeah.
look at the Halo show, it's like, why?
Because we needed to see Master
Night and
Chief's
day.
ass.
No, like it's not. No.
The infinite number of ways to see his ass.
Jesus Christ. No.
Halo, more like hell no.
Okay, the thing is, like, you take the most iconic, you take the main character
There's
of the whole
the show,
franchise,
there's
and
infinites,
you destroy
everything.
his character-defining trait in the fucking pilot.
Let's just
What
say
the
that
hell?
you leave Halo alone after 2007, and then everything works out fine. If Halo 3 was the last game, I'm sure everyone would have been totally fine with it.
It's like Joel from The Last of Us is like, come on, Grogu. I mean, Ellie.
See, the thing with a developer like Naughty Dog is people. I mean, my generation remembers them for Crash Bandicoot and probably Jak and Daxter. But when they
Yeah.
started doing Uncharted, I was kind of, Uncharted the series is fine, even though I have all the games, at least the PS4 versions and whatever. I've yet
Oh,
to
I
actually play
love-
through all of them. But
I
I
love
think this
those
generation
games.
is going to remember them more for Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us. That
Oh, yeah.
era, because they basically sort of, okay, I wouldn't say abandoned is the right word, but they basically sort of moved on from their early days of like action platformers and before when they were doing Way of the Warrior and Rings of Power. Now they're all about the movies basically.
The
interactive
gritty,
movies.
the gritty
Not in the David
realism,
Cage way, but-
survival games. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
one can only handle so much of that. But you know what I feel like when I'm trying to watch a dark, depressing series about people trying to avoid a zombie apocalypse? Some hamburgers. So I love The Works. It is probably one of my favorite
Ah,
burger
yes.
places.
Oh,
Even if it's
that's an interesting plug-in.
yeah, you didn't think I was gonna start, I was gonna talk about restaurants.
I thought you were going to talk about Raid Shadows Legends,
Wow.
but that's beside
No.
the point.
But on a random note, it is funny how Rovio puts the classic version of Angry Birds back on iOS and Google Play, but then a few days ago
Okay,
they said
so
they're going to
why do
remove
you
that
like
version from
Josh,
Google
why do
Play
you like-
because it was.
Josh, why do you like The Works?
Why do I like The Works? Right, that's it. So The Works is probably a really inventive way of approaching hamburgers because there are some really neat toppings on here, and just even the way that they name them and just sort of the general vibe of the menu is pretty good. I've been there, I believe, 2 or 3 times. 2 of them with Marnie, and one was actually when she and I took my sister and brother-in-law to there after after our wedding. Probably one of the more interesting burgers they have there is called the Skater Boy.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, peanut butter, jack, cheese, and bacon. I think the next time we go, she wants to have that. I'd be tempted to
Oh,
try
yeah.
it myself because I know one of the first ones I had was it had mac and cheese on it,
Mm.
and it was just like
Oh, yeah.
Kraft. It had Kraft Dinner, on a hamburger, and as soon as I had that combination with like bacon strips, I'm like, I am so glad I don't live at home anymore. Or it's like, oh no, that was before I moved out. So I'm like, it's like I can't wait to move out. Then I can have stuff like this all the time
Yeah.
if I wanted.
It's a good feeling.
From my experience, I've tried the Tom Green burger, which is basically
Tom
just
Green
like a burger. Yeah, it has like a whole lot of avocado on it,
Yeah.
and it just when you squish it, it goes like. 'Cause it's
Hey,
like
Lyle,
gross.
does it have sausages?
Oddly enough, no.
No.
It also doesn't have a shitload of sandwich toppings that you just keep adding on and on and
The
on and on and on.
cheese
But-
No, 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 no.
And the other one I had was the man cave, which is just like a whole lot of caramelized onion and bacon slapped onto it, and that was pretty
Oh,
good.
the Obi-Wan
That-
Kobe's Man Cave looks delicious. Any of the Wagyu type
good.
of burgers, I would love to have. The one downside is it can get a little pricey, obviously.
I mean, it's
especially
gourmet,
now.
so, yeah.
It's higher
How's
quality
the-
than definitely just like, standard quick service.
How's the hipster?
Sorry.
The hipster. There's a burger called the hipster.
Uh,
It's caramelized onions with avocado. Sounds good, actually.
That sounds
probably.
pretty good.
I'm
I'd
not
eat
big
that,
on
yeah.
avocado myself, although I've had like guacamole flavored Doritos, which were weird because I didn't taste a lot of guacamole, but I tasted a lot of like regular nacho cheese flavored Dorito. But it works as a good restaurant. The one downside is it's not as
Ooh.
accessible because they are based a lot in more urban centers, although there's like
Right.
one in Newmarket, which is the closest. But I've been to one of the ones downtown. Might have been off. Is it off Wellington? Somewhere down there.
The one downtown is on Wellington. Yeah.
Yes,
Now-
Close
I've been
to
there.
Front Street. Yeah.
Now,
The vibe of it is like it almost looks like a quasi construction yard on the
Yeah.
inside a little bit, but it's a nice place to go, and hopefully we'll go there again sometime soon because
Please.
I kind of
yeah.
miss it.
my
Yeah, see,
This is
it
great.
just sucks because Veronica, I want to go, but Veronica hates burgers.
She does?
She doesn't eat them. Yeah,
What
no,
about
she hates
sandwiches?
hamburgers.
I didn't know that.
I don't know.
Just
but she's
frame it
probably not
as
gonna
they're
wanna
just
go.
sandwiches that have meat in them.
No, she hates ground beef. She just won't. do
Well,
it,
is there
so.
anything on the menu that
They have
she
Beyond-
would like?
they have,
Unless
like,
unless I
Beyond
invite her
Burgers.
sister. Her sister likes hamburgers, so I don't
Do
know.
that
But that's
then.
kind of weird.
Well, they got salads and poutines and milkshakes and lunch.
She hates all that.
How can someone hate lunch? It's the
I
meal in
don't know.
between breakfast and dinner.
Now,
Well, I mean, most things for lunch she does not like.
I will.
but whatever.
I will say this.
I'll go again someday. I'll sneak out and I'll buy a really expensive burger, and I will accept her disapproval with a smile and grease on my teeth.
Now,
Any other
there
restaurants? I
was
can
the
think of?
first time. Two things. One, the first time I ever went to a Works restaurant was actually in Ottawa on Canada Day weekend in 2008 with my friends, and
Wow, I forgot it's been around that long.
and then two, Lyle and I actually have a really nice memory there. The
Mm.
night we went to see arguably one of the best MCU films ever down a block away, we had dinner at the Works, and I got there early because I got off a gig I was working that day early, and I completely fucked up the time we were supposed to meet, and I honestly thought like something had happened to you because you were late. And I called you. It's like, hey, Lyle, where are you? It's like, oh, I'm kind of busy. Can I call you back? And then I'm like, oh, right. And then so you called me. You came eventually, and then we were all in good spirits that day. Like, cause I worked a gig that I liked, and the movie was good too, and the food was good. So, all around good time.
That was a great night. Yeah.
It was.
Wait, so what
Absolutely.
movie was this again?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Okay, this was before when I was
This is-
thinking of a different
This
time.
is 2017. Yeah.
Do you guys like sushi?
No.
I love sushi, and Veronica loves sushi, so I eat a
Marnie
lot
does.
of sushi.
Well then,
I'm
I
out.
don't know. I don't know if they'll deliver that far out to you, Lyle. But like, there's a place that I really recommend if you and Veronica are in like the Yonge and Bay area. If you're in Toronto, Kyoto House.
Kyoto House. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one, but sure.
Excellent food.
Uh,
All you can eat. It's all you can eat sushi. Like if you do the lunch, I think it's like
Nice.
$14 or $15. Like not a
Wow.
bad price at all.
$14 for that's amazing.
That's a
Mm.
good.
It's
That's a
usually
good
40.
deal if you like
Very
sushi
good
and
deal.
that sort of food.
Yeah, Veronica
What
and
other
she introduced me to
restaurant?
that like years ago, right when we first started dating, and it's just been like a staple. We always got to do it.
Speaking of dates and speaking of sushi, the last date I went on was actually at Spring Sushi at Yonge and Dundas. I don't know if you guys have been. It's very
Yep.
Oh, many
it's
times.
very
Many
busy
times.
No.
typically though.
Pricey
Yeah,
too.
it's good though.
I would
it
I would
is.
agree. Then again, like I'm not a sushi connoisseur by any stretch, but yeah, I agree.
I'm mostly a homebody. I don't go out that much, and I'm happy to be home and cook.
Now,
Oh, I
any
cook
Or help
all
cook,
the
rather.
time.
oh
I
yeah,
literally just cooked
same
tonight, right
here.
before recording.
Yeah, who needs overcooked? You can just try cooking.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good to it's easier on your wallet when you make food at home more than you order in. You know?
Yes and no. Obviously, the downside is then you spend more on groceries, especially when prices are now not
Right.
locked
I
anymore at
guess.
certain places.
Yeah, I
Don't even
guess.
get me
Yeah.
started.
There's one place. There's one place Veronica and I really like. It's called GB Hand Pulled Noodles. There's one very close to where we used to live, Evan, and there's also one just by like Dundas, like
GB,
Dundas
is that
Square.
the one over on Gerard, where
Yeah, there's one on Gerard. That's
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that was close to us.
I think you took me. I think you took me there once, and I didn't.
Yeah, I tried to. Yeah, I tried
And
to
I do love a
introduce it to you.
good pasta. Obviously, that's not the same type of.
Well, yeah, it's more like ramen actually.
Yeah,
so it's a
that's what
soup
I'm
place,
I'm getting.
and
at
they have
that.
really
That was
good
funny-
beef
so funny
langzhou
story, so,
noodles, and
I don't know. So kind of a funny story. Like, speaking of pasta,
Yeah.
the old spaghetti factory. I mean, like it's a.
I would love to go there one day because you and Lyle have both been, and
Yeah.
it looks
Many
great.
times.
I know it's
Yeah.
pricey, but the vibe of it. I think is it the same location you've both been to where it looks like it's in an old streetcar, or is that the
Yep,
gimmick?
that's on the Esplanade.
yeah, it's in that
Now,
one.
do
Yeah.
you know what's
Okay,
funny? So
then that sounds
the
fun.
last time, so the last time I was at the old spaghetti factory was actually in Edmonton, where we went there for dinner on our first night on our road trip. But the last time I went to the Toronto one was actually when I was dating my ex, and then I see like 2 weeks.
I remember those times.
Yeah, and then 2 weeks later, I see Lyle and Veronica get all dolled up and they go, and I see their social media. And I'm like, that's cute, but it's like, quit copying me.
You can't really call
That's weird,
dibs.
It's also the only
I'm
place in the
joking.
world where I
Obviously,
can actually.
I'm joking, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I get
Ooh.
it. Yeah,
The only
that's
place
funny.
in the
Yeah.
world.
Like, I don't like
Yeah,
claim to
it's
be
like the only.
ultimate
It's the only. It's the only place in the world where I can find like a nice dish of spumoni ice cream.
Right,
Can't
yeah.
find it anywhere else. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've heard about
Spinoni ice cream?
Spumoni ice cream. Oh, hey, that's something I'd recommend to you guys. Try Spumoni ice cream. It's, or you can even make this. I guess it's just get a scoop of pistachio, scoop of cherry ice cream, and chocolate ice cream. It's almost like Neapolitan. It's just those three
You
flavors.
see, I'm not big on cherry anything, so
All right, well then,
but-
Josh, you don't have to. You don't have to try then.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
I'm sure
but,
it's good for other
Spumoni-
people. But I like that that approach.
It's a step up from Neapolitan for me.
Okay,
It's very good,
so-
but it's very hard to get a hold of.
We're out of the vanilla and chocolate ice, strawberry
Okay.
ice cream.
I know this. I'm gonna kind of
Loves-
while we're on the topic of restaurants, I want to kind of branch this off a little bit. Okay, what's a restaurant?
Are we
that-
gonna have our own version of Kitchen Nightmares now?
No. What is a restaurant that you guys enjoyed
I nominate Evan then.
when? Okay, so what's a restaurant that you guys enjoy? What's a restaurant chain that no longer exists, but you enjoyed it when it was in service?
That I
I mean, mine's not necessarily a chain, but when I was growing up, there's this one pizza place in West Lorne that had like the best pizza ever. Like every time,
Yeah, it doesn't have to
I
be a
went to
chain, just a
Rodney.
restaurant that isn't there anymore.
yeah, I used to. They had this glorious deluxe pizza, and it just had all the trimmings. And every time I was in Rodney, I had to order like even if I ate it by myself, I had to have that pizza.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time I came back home and I was like, "Dad, you want to get some PJ's pizza?" And he's like, "Oh, Lyle, the place burnt down." It's like, oh no, what happened? Why did it burn down? It's like, oh, you're never gonna believe this. Apparently, someone built a meth lab directly above the place, and it blew up. and the entire like building was destroyed.
Oh,
Fucking
wow.
Walt and Jesse, man.
Fucking stupid meth addicts destroy my favorite pizza
Probably
place,
unrelated, but
guys.
I'm just looking now. There's apparently another PJ's Pizza in Torbay, Newfoundland.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't imagine it's the same
It's not.
Is,
No, it's just.
people.
It's the same name. It's not the exact same, but it's like great minds think alike.
Now,
Yeah.
Is Quiznos still around?
I
don't
think
know.
that okay.
It's kind of hard to come by.
I think Quiznos is like in a coffee time situation where there's like a few locations left and they're just.
Oh, there's one on Rutherford actually here.
Oh,
so there are
that
some,
one,
but
yeah.
there are very few and far between.
Mm.
Wait, no.
Alright,
There's some.
well-
They've just
Well,
lessened.
I
Do
know
you
what
get-
I'm doing tomorrow before you guys come over. I am going
Do
to
you-
go on
There's
an
one in
adventure.
Vaughan, Markham, some in
Wait a
Mississauga.
minute, Cody. You're gonna get a Quiznos pizza, and then we're gonna have
No,
Pizza Hut for
Quiznos
dinner.
a submarine.
No, it's
sandwich.
Quiznos Sub. It's a sub place.
Oh shit! I was thinking of Sabaro.
Oh,
That's the wrong
Sabaro. Sabaro I've heard of, but obviously it's anything American
right,
fast
Quiznos
food
does
is
the
very
sauce.
infrequently here. But I think I had it once. It might have been in either Florida or New York. I think it might have been New York. So this would have been fall of 2008
Probably.
when we went to Buffalo. I've had better pizza or better pasta, but for Italian quick service, it's not bad.
I love how Michael Scott from The Office treats Sabaro like it's the best pizza he's ever eaten. There's Grimaldi's and other stuff, but no, it's gotta be Sabaro.
Oh man. I mean, the best pizza I had was last week with Domino's because I built up a bunch of points over the last couple of years, and so for Valentine's Day I got us pizza and it was free,
Nice.
and so that's why it tasted the best because I saved some money.
Well, I didn't.
There you
Well,
go.
I didn't
Nice.
win. Here's your free pizza.
But we
Free
did
pizza
win.
does
That's
taste
okay. The
better.
box is empty.
So I'm too much of an honest idiot sometimes. Like sometimes I just bleh, like I bleh out the truth. So
Okay.
Veronica and I, speaking of Valentine's Day, Veronica and I went out to the Keg. This is after we saw the re-release of Titanic, which was an amazing experience seeing it in 4K 3D.
Keg is a good choice for special occasions.
Yeah, and we went right across the street to the Keg after seeing the movie, and I had like this Visa. It wasn't a gift card for the Keg, but it was like just a Visa free,
Like
gift
one of the
card-
ultimate
prepaid
dining
gift card.
ones.
Yeah, like it was like $100
Yeah,
on it.
any
and-
of the restaurants that the parent company owns, which I think the Keg is part of, it covers those. We have some of those.
Well, no,
Or
this
have.
one was just like a Mastercard prepaid gift
Oh,
card kind of
like-
thing with
okay, yeah.
$100 on it.
Never mind.
Yeah, just like
I know what
just
you're
like a
talking
standard
about.
one. And the waitress, like, we were kind of saying, "Oh no, it's okay for a nap." We had something at the when we saw a movie, and then we both got a steak, and then we wanted to save dessert because we actually had like a cake waiting for at home.
Oh,
And,
that's nice.
I was
Aw.
a little
kind of-
a little
Cody,
too.
you cannot go to the Keg and not have a slice of Billy Miner pie.
Well, no, here's the thing. we earlier that day we went to the grocery store and we're like, "Oh my God, there's like a red velvet like farmers market cake right there." Like,
Oh wait, I
cha-ching.
think I know where this is going.
And I was too honest with the waitress, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna save dessert when we go home. We have a red velvet cake," and she went, "Oh, perfect, that's awesome for Valentine's Day. Where'd you guys get it from?" And Veronica was gonna just gonna make up like some bakery or whatever. And I went, "We got it from the grocery store,"
Okay, now
and I was just like, "Oh my God!" And she was like, "Oh, that's very nice," and like I walked out of the restaurant going, "Oh my fucking God." Like, I just
Now-
made us look so cheap. Here we are. I'm paying with a prepaid, fucking gift card, and we didn't get an app.
Okay.
We just got
Okay.
the steaks.
I gotta be honest.
It's being sensible.
Cody, your story, a very similar thing happened to me like a month
On the
ago.
way to the forum.
So here's the story. So Laura and I, there are a couple of restaurants that my friend Laura and I have gone to like in the area. One of these places we were at about a month ago, and when the waitress asked if we wanted dessert, I can't remember I was okay, so I ordered like a blueberry cheesecake. So I'm like, "Oh, this is really good. Like did you make this or is it store bought?" And and then the waitress was like, "Oh, it's store bought." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. It's still pretty good." And then I don't know. I can't remember like which was awkward about it, but Laura was like, Laura just looked at me like a little like weirdly. It's like I wouldn't have asked that. It's like, oh, and I felt kind of bad. But then I explained because right before the dessert came, because Laura used to be assistant manager at the bakery section of the store we used to work at. So like Laura, a lot of the stuff that we baked at the store we used to work at like was like shipped in. Not a lot of this, only a handful of the stuff was like baked in house. So like Laura knows the whole process. So I said before we got the check, I was like, I'm sorry, like I wasn't trying to insult the cooking. Like I did enjoy the cheesecake, like, but I'm sorry for the question. And then she's like, oh no, it's I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I don't really care. Like I don't make the dessert. Like it was outsourced, like it was store bought. And I'm like, oh well, it was good. And then I just like, oh, Laura here used to work at this grocery store down the street, so we know all about that. There was like an awkward moment ended nicely, you know?
I always just want to
all
assume
right.
right away when somebody offers me anything, I just go, "Wow, you did such a good job baking or cooking this." And
Yeah.
if they say, "Oh no, it's actually store bought or it's something else," I'll just go, "Well, it's amazing." That's always the best way to handle
Basically,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Hey,
it's all that
speaking of
matters.
cooking, shout out to Sean, the whole Stokes family. Like they made us a great home cooked meal when we went to visit them back in January.
Yeah.
Up in,
Yeah,
Owen
that was
Sound.
nice.
Yeah, that's
That
nice.
was great. Yeah.
Don't really know how many more topics we have left. I
Oh,
think the only one
I
I can
never
think
got to
of.
say my restaurant that I missed. It's not around anymore.
Oh, which
Oh,
one?
okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, this one's a little bit of a technicality because the franchise against another American restaurant place that still has locations in the States but not here anymore, Rainforest Cafe.
Ah.
Oh yeah, I remember
The
that.
I
Yorkdale
went there.
location, I've been there
Yeah.
several times. It was like before everybody got excited about the Cheesecake Factory finally
Mhm.
coming to Canada. Like that was my, I'd go there. I loved the theming. Even if the food, I liked the food as a kid, obviously, but even if, it maybe was okay to maybe adult tastes, I like just the feeling of it because
Yeah.
it's very immersive. It's like the one part of the Science Center with like, the extra humidity. It's like that, but in a restaurant,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
a
Now,
I
mall.
went there in Niagara Falls, and it was
The Niagara Falls one too, actually, yeah.
yeah, it was
when
And I've
fun. It
also
was
been to the
like
one in Animal Kingdom at Disney World.
the
believe it or
fucking
not,
rain and the monkeys surrounding me.
the,
Oh, all you need to do is let the rain fall down and wake your dreams and let it wash
yeah.
away your sanity.
Now, it doesn't feel like that long ago that there was a Rainforest Cafe at Yorkdale because I remember one of the actors in my first short film ever worked part time at Rainforest Cafe, and I remember bringing a hard drive full of like his footage to him at work at the Rainforest Cafe, and it was a nice experience. That was the last time I was
Nice.
there, actually, and then of course the Rainforest Cafe shut down at Yorkdale, so now it's gone. But speaking of, on the topic of chains, American chains that used to be, on the topic of American restaurant chains that used to be in Canada but aren't anymore, Outback Steakhouse. The last time I was there was actually
Oh,
it. The last time I was at an Outback
Must have
was
been near the
in
end of high school.
it was in Costa Mesa, California in 2015.
Never mind.
And that it was really really good. But apparently there is one Outback left in Canada, and it's in Niagara Falls.
I remember there was the one near Silver City in that same
That
area that
was
is now a
yeah
Milestones.
no
Or is it Memento? No, yeah, Milestones.
I went there a couple times. It was really good.
It was good.
their fries suck.
You thought the fries at Outback sucked?
I just remember
It's
having a
been a
bad
long time since I've been
experience.
there. I don't remember.
Oh
Ugh.
yeah.
I'm taking a look at this. It kind of looks like some sort of onion
Oh, the
thing.
bloomin'. Everybody loves the bloomin' onion.
Mm.
Oh, this isn't the fries. Okay.
You thought
But
that
that's
was
the thing, though.
fries?
It's funny though that you showed that because that's most of the reason people remember Outback now because they sort of popularized the whole deep fried, onion in that way,
Mm.
to the point where even in local rib fests you can probably get a bloomin' onion sort of thing, or the potato chips on a stick kind of thing.
Hey,
Why the
hey,
hell
do any
not?
of last thing before I think we close with the night? Do any of you remember Licks?
Yes,
Oh yeah,
No.
I'm
Licks.
surprised.
that was nice. I don't know if I ever had any of the burgers, but I like the not Rolling Stones tongue logo.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think there might be one left, or maybe there aren't any. But yeah, that main location down Young Street was always nice.
I don't not that I really want this episode to go on too much longer, but I know we're doing our albums episode next. Is
The
there any
last
artists
one, we swear.
tentatively? Yeah.
Tentatively.
Is there any? Are there any like? Is there like a musician that you would kind of recommend? One that you haven't really talked about?
I feel like
Kind
I'm
of
good.
putting me on the
Okay,
spot, aren't you
do you
there,
know what I'm
Lyle?
gonna do? I'm going to.
I have only
I'm
one.
blanking right now, but I am going to. The second we stop recording, I am instantly going to remember a musician to recommend that none of you guys have
I have a
heard
music
of.
store after, but
Yeah.
or I'll save that for another time.
I have one. This is a really old one actually. I doubt any of you have heard of this man, but are you guys in any way familiar with George Formby?
Hornsby?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard of him. I believe if
Yeah,
it's the
so
person I'm thinking of.
yeah, so he's been around. This is quite before our time, but this is a musician from like the 1930s and 40s who was part of the war effort as well as being a comedian. He makes a lot of songs that are just sort of like quirky little ukulele pieces. The thing
Oh.
of it is like
Oh.
I would somewhat compare him to something like Tiny Tim.
I
There's a
was
bit of a
gonna say
novelty
that
to
gives
his
me
work.
very much
Was one
like
okay, Lyle? When we saw Babylon, did we hear one of his songs in the soundtrack for Babylon? I feel like we would have.
No, no, this guy is incredibly British, so I
Oh,
don't
okay,
think
never
he
mind.
would.
I
He has a very
Oh.
thick. He has a
Sorry,
very
I thought it
thick
was Hornsby
accent.
Formby. I've not heard of him.
for a sec.
Okay. Did you guys ever play the game iToy on PS2?
No.
Yes,
Okay, you
I've heard
remember
of him.
Josh? You
He
remember
was in
the
that.
yeah? You remember the window washing game?
Kind of. Here's the thing. I know of iToy and the games. I didn't get an iToy with my PS2. I only got like motion stuff to connect. But that's
So
kind
you
of
don't.
cool that like there was enough of a deep cut that they include. That's neat.
That was my introduction to this guy because it's like, well, I go cleaning windows to earn an honest bob. Oh, to know this ought to be an interesting job. When I'm cleaning windows. Yeah, there's a lot of good songs.
Oh,
I've just
did
been
you
listening to him
know
the past 2 months.
that his influence reached the Beatles? They actually
Oh.
improvised with ukuleles when they were working on Let It Be, and even in the song Her Majesty, you can hear a little bit of his influence on that guitar part.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know George Formby, he's probably a little obscure now, but he is actually a very accomplished
There's a
ukulele player. Like,
ukulele Hall of Fame. I just learned this.
is he a part of it?
He was inducted in 2004.
That's good because he actually invented like a technique. It's called split notes or something like a split chord or something where you can actually play like a
The
different
split
rhythm,
stroke, very nice.
something like that. Like he actually developed a technique on ukulele, which I don't know too many people have done that. So there's that. But yeah, I'll just shout out a couple songs. I don't know, like I'm not gonna go down his whole discography, but "Leaning on a Lamppost" that's a very nice song. Obviously, "When I'm Cleaning Windows" is pretty much his signature song. I also really liked Auntie Maggie's Remedy. He has this quirk when he sings because he's a comedy singer. He often breaks into laughter when he's like playing. Like he kind of when a comedian breaks his character, like let's say like Jimmy like Fallon or something, and he kind of like snickers while he's singing. He does that a lot, and it's so adorable. I also liked our Sergeant Major. There's a lot of wartime songs in his discography, given the time he was popular. But yeah, no, he's a very honest guy. I remember I read an article that said he actually felt very guilty for being famous for what he did because he's like, well, I'm a musician, but I never did any education to be a musician. I just fell into it. I feel bad for those who study for years and years and have to like work for a living. They're like here I am like in front of the world and they're just sort of like toiling away. I feel kind of guilty about
That's
that.
kind of an
A very relatable
that's
perspective.
kind of an
It's very
that's
humble.
kind of an interesting phenomenon.
I kind of
Yeah.
really respect I guess, not only musicians but people that are in entertainment like that really just happen to be really skilled at something and are able to make a living off of it. But it's not they're not letting it get to their heads or anything. They're treating
No,
it like any other job.
yeah, no, I like George Formby a lot, both as a performer and as a person. And obviously, I'm not gonna I probably won't mention him in an albums episode, but I'm very glad I could at least give him a spotlight in this episode. So, yeah, I'll post a link or something you can check him out. But yeah, do you guys have any musician you just want to give a shout out? Anyone you've been following?
Okay. Just a very 90s singer who actually wrote songs as well as
Ooh.
Kathy Dennis.
There you go, Cody.
She is.
What's Kathy Dennis known
Kathy
for?
Dennis is known for.
Oh, another British person.
Yeah, no, she is known for.
Oh, it's
she's no.
Kathy with a C.
She is known for the songs.
No way. She really did not. Wow.
So-
No, but go on.
She's known.
Okay.
One of her most renowned songs is "Just Another Dream," which I guarantee all of you have heard at some point. I think. Also, "Touch Me All Night Long" is a very catchy tune that I have. It's all off an album from 1990 called "Move to This." Very good.
Okay.
All right, I'll have to.
Kind of get
listen to that.
get Mazzy Star vibes from her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta listen to Mazzy Star again. Hope is a great vocalist. You're also forgetting the fact that she actually co-wrote 3 bangers in "Can't Get You Out of My Head,"
Yes,
Kylie Minogue,
I was a.
"Toxic,"
I was yeah.
and
no,
"I Kissed a Girl."
She co-wrote all those songs.
Toxic,
Yeah.
I Kissed a Girl.
All
Nice.
these songs. Can't Get You Out of My Head. That's a Kylie Minogue. That's from the late 90s.
No, "Can't Get You Out of My Head" is from 2001.
Kylie Minogue's "Can't Get You Out of Your Head" is from
Yes,
2001.
and "Toxic" is that was from 2003.
Oh,
Of course,
okay.
"I Kissed a Girl" is 2008. But
Right, yeah.
like that's interesting just to see. Like I did not think that some people got that far, like that much reach.
Oh, that was an interesting. I'd never even heard of her before, so that's interesting.
Yeah, no. I discovered her.
Okay.
I when I used to work at the grocery store, I discovered both of those songs on our playlist, and they're really fun.
Nice, nice.
All right.
Cool.
What about you, Cody?
Cody, Mr. Foles. Wearing a Foles shirt. so-
I'll kind of save my music energy until the next. But yeah, I'll save my next.
No,
the
of
next,
course, But has there been like a musician that you kind of dug yourself into and you went through a rabbit hole of just finding more about them, or?
Again, I want to save it till the next one.
Oh, so like you're the next episode you have a lot of details and everything for the.
There's someone
Okay.
it's an artist that I've discovered recently that's kind of I'm just in the beginning of the rabbit hole. Just dug my way a little
Oh,
bit
okay.
into it. The rabbit hole has not been
Okay.
dug, but it's going to be. But I've been very digging an album, so that's just a little bit of a tease for the next episode.
Is this the one that you kept a secret from us? Because we announced all of ours.
No, it's not that
So
one
excuse me.
actually.
Got
I actually
Okay.
yeah. That last one is it's just funny that I can't believe I can't believe I've sat on this album for as long as I have. And it's so obvious.
All right.
coming
Well,
from me.
listeners, tune in next time for Cody to divulge us with more of his musical tastes. I'm excited now. I'm very intrigued. You had my you had my attention. You had my curiosity, and soon you'll have my attention. All right, Mr. Music Man, Josh.
Well, I need to get my dancing shoes on and start singing a musical number if we're going to be doing that, Music Man. God, I'm literally looking at the records that I did not pick for the albums episode because I went back and forth. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do. Okay, so knowing that all 3 of you are film majors, I know you guys all love some David Lynch, and I feel like this particular artist, especially with one particular record, really embodies that sort of dark, haunting, folky singer-songwriter stuff, and that is Timber Timbre.
Okay.
Now, granted, it's mostly the project of Taylor Kirk, and especially with their 2011 record, "Creep On, Creepin' On," it's very. It gives it that
That's
sort
a
of like
great name.
50s, 60s sort of early rock and roll, but like sort of leading into country at times. But there is just something about this record that clicks with me, and especially, the opening track, Bad Ritual. It's got this slow, ominous, dark feel, but it's it gives you almost, and I don't really use this term lightly or loosely. It gives you kind of like serial killer vibes a little bit. Like you get the feeling like this would be, if this was in the universe of Bates Motel, but at the same time, that's also like if Bates Motel was parallel to the Twin Peaks universe. It's that kind of like subversive but dark. Like the chorus of Bad Ritual is basically being that, obsessing over this woman is really bad for me, but it makes me feel better to at least have something to focus on.
Right.
And especially on a track like Black Water, it just opens with this nice, really mellow and warm. All I need is some sunshine.
Oh yeah, okay, I know that song. All right,
Yeah,
so I know what you're talking
Blackwater
about.
is
Yeah.
excellent. I have this vision of like if there was ever a music video for it, this person would just be floating in some water. I have specifically down Bathurst, just near where the bus stop is in my area, where like Westmount is, that high school in there. Like for whatever reason, the street's closed and there's water on the street, just like floating down the street, and just sort of like as I guess as the water consumes them. Now, it's a pretty short record, but just like Creep On Creeping On, and it's sort of a foundation that was built on by the self-titled record from 2009, but then on 2014's Hot Dreams, it gets a little more accessible, but I figure for people that want some, singer-songwriter stuff that is a little bit left field, but again, for the people that like the David Lynch stuff, I think they'll get a lot out of it. I mean, Creep On Creeping On I have on vinyl, and I really should listen to it sometime, but it was a record I had actually come close to talking about on albums episodes several times, but I ended up leaving it off because I don't want to have too much of a 2011 bias, and I talked about a lot of records from that particular year,
Okay,
but I figure,
that makes sense.
why not take the opportunity to at least mention one. Maybe they have copies of this at like one of those stores like say Sonic Boom or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's good, safe
I would have
bet.
talked about that because that's one of the music stores downtown that I've been in like once or twice, but it's just like I feel like so insignificant going in there because there's just so much there, and I'm like I'm not gonna I can't get too much here.
You're not worthy.
We're not worthy. I just love the layout of that store too.
It's a
But
good
Yeah.
place. Yeah,
I love that
absolutely.
place.
We'd recommend that one. We'd all unanimously recommend Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was very informative, gentlemen. I like hearing
It was.
different experiences being shared amongst us, and
Yeah.
I had a whole list of movies that I was just gonna recommend, but I kind of like how we just went through categories.
Yeah,
You
no.
know,
There's a bunch.
even people
honestly,
who aren't big
there are-
cinephiles, kind of like topics that they're interested
There was
in.
one like movie that I wanted to recommend to you guys, and I'm glad I got to recommend that. But other than that, like I was all gonna recommend just a bunch of movies too, but I barely got to recommend anything on my list except for one. So
well, that's the thing. I
That's good.
realized like if we're gonna have this be more freeform, I only had a couple, like three things at most, but I really wanted to try and keep to the original concept because it's not easy to not have a script
yeah,
prepared for anything.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want this to be a Gabalon or a Babylon,
A
I guess I should say, where
Gabalon.
we're just constantly
Gabalon.
talking over each other, and it's not fun. So, no, it was good. This was enjoyable.
yeah.
Tune in
And,
next time when we talk even more about another topic we've talked about to death for 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
It'll be twice as long as this one, so
with even more surprises.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
Very excited for that one.
Okay.
All right, thanks everyone for joining.
Have yourself a good night and take care.
Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
Adios.
Mm.
Bye bye.